And welcome. We are Duckpin TV, and we are bringing you the fifth shift of the 89th annual Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Duckpin Classic. We are coming to you from Lucky Strike Lanes in Mansfield, Connecticut, and we are excited to bring you what we hope to be is an exciting conclusion to one of the best tournaments in duckpin bowling. Coming off of the Saturday shift, we have some big scores to talk about. John D'Antonis, Billy Thomas, Walt Brooks, the Southern Connection from Maryland are all in contention, along with Will Rigney, Dan Richmond, and Kyle Shaw. That's the Northeastern Connection from Rhode Island and Connecticut. We also have Matt Anastasi and John Biederman, Stacy Kelly, Steve Dreyer, and Mark Parker rounding out our top 10. We hope to bring you some exciting bowling. We're going to bring you as many action shots as we can from several bowlers. We will try to keep up as the pace quickens and the standings change on the fly. We will try to bring you that. I'm going to turn it over right now to my partner, Eric Leteska, who has some updated scores for Game 7 of Block 2 from Shift 5 of the Eastern Classic.
So it's been an interesting start to this this shift for some of the bowlers. John D'Antonis had a monster 6-game set, largest one that we had seen up until that point, and he stumbled out of the gate here. 104 his first game. Same for Stacy Kelly, Walt Brooks. Stacy had 117, Walt 124. We're trying to keep scores live, frame by frame for the top few bowlers. You can see the leaderboard sorted by average over there, and look who's on top. Bowler in the fifth shift. That would be Billy Thomas.
Billy Thomas, who's on our screen right now, live. And we are looking at him. I'm sorry, I was blocked out of that shot, so my bad. He's up there with Ronnie Pelletier. Looks like that was a 10 box for Billy Thomas as he converted the pin, single pin for a 10.
There's a 4-time Eastern Classic winner, Ron Pelletier, on your screen. Ron didn't have such a great outing on his first block, but still optimistic that he can perform well in his last 6. And
I believe he came out of the gates with a 160 game, so he's he can't afford any glitches. So.
Yeah. Buller, we're tracking here his score. He's going to be up on the screen in a moment, but that's Steve Dreyer. He was in the 870s, I want to say, through 6.
Yes.
And opened his second block with a 174. Got himself a spot on the board here. There he is on the left of your screen. He ripped the head pin, filling a strike in his second frame.
I just saw John D'Antonis off to the side. We're going to see a big ball from him coming up on replay, I believe. Coming off a 104 game, he's looking to get on track for this next game.
Yeah, John, our defending champ. Also the 2018 DPVA Bowler of the Year, multiple-time Bowler of the Year on tour. I have no doubt that 104
I'm sure that
is
104 is an absolute aberration. It's not going to be anything we see for the rest of the day. He's probably happy we were on air for that one.
Yeah.
We missed it. Here's that first ball from John D'Antonis. I'm sorry, his follow-up on the 5-pin. First ball was a crush. Billy Thomas, pocket hit, 5-7.
Billy grabs one more pin there. So if you take a look down at the bottom of your screen, you see our leaderboards. There's 3 of them, one for the Open Division, one for the B Division, one for the C Division. Anybody who has 12 games registered, it says a number of games beside their average. There's a couple of bowlers, in fact, 7 of them who are come through their 12 games and have a current position on the in the top 16 in the Open Division. The leader right now, sitting back, just finished his 12-game string, is Kyle Shaw, manager of the center. He's been in the top 5 in this tournament for 3 consecutive years. He finished really strong, and he's put a mark up there that every bowler out here is looking to beat.
Yeah, it's Kyle Shaw is. If he doesn't win it this year or next year or the year after, he's going to be in contention for the next 10 to 15, maybe 20 years. He's someone we'll be talking about if we continue to do this for a long, long time. And any time he steps on the lane, he has a chance to win a tournament.
Yeah. So if you don't have 12 games next to your name on the leaderboard, you've got 7 games next to it. That's 6 or 7, I suppose. We're still catching up with some scores, but what that means is that there are many bowlers here who are in the hunt, trying to get past the mark set by Kyle Shaw.
And right now, that Shaw mark, we talked a lot about this on our previous broadcast. Anything above 150 average is where you almost have to be. Looking back historically at the results of the Eastern Classic, it's going back. I want to say, I think it was 1979-ish, the last time someone won the tournament less than a 150 average.
And that, Pat, that may go back to wood pins. That's around that time. I mean, that's seriously around.
I think it was Gene Fair. I think it was Gene Fairlett.
Yeah. So the scores definitely went up in that transition.
Yep.
Here's John D'Antonis. John opened this game with a mark, puts 9 on it.
It was 1975, Eric.
Gene
Fairlett, and that goes back 44 years. Won it with a 1794, which still is within a pin of the 150 average. So even with the wood pins, that 150 is still a realistic figure to try to shoot for.
Absolutely. We got a missed single from John D'Antonis. Still not quite comfortable yet.
All right, Johnny cleans it up for 10. So we have, again, some exciting action here. We've got 3 bowlers within 5 bowlers within 50 pins of each other with 5 games to go. That is anybody's game. That's a double away from being tied or ahead. There's Will Rigney on your screen. Goes through the middle, picks up 8 that looks like the 4-7, or maybe the 3-7. Just live, you just saw. I'm going to call him Big Red for the first time. He gave me permission on Friday night. Matt Anastasi with a monster ball right here.
That's a spare double to open his second game. Matt had a 152 his first game of this block.
Nothing left to argue on that ball.
Matt
was Rigney trying to slide that, trying to make a 10 box, and just goes off the side for 9.
Matt was the last bowler on this shift who made a 900 in their first 6. He had a 901. That's a 150 average, which is behind the winning pace. He's going to have to. At
this point, it is behind Kyle's. Kyle's pace is 153. We're going to be talking about that, I'm sure, throughout the afternoon. That's something to shoot at. When you put up a score above 1,800 in this tournament, and the people behind you have to go get it. You don't have a lot of room for error when that number's up there. I'm going to go on a limb, Eric, and say at some point during this shift, we're going to see Kyle Shaw's name on top of the board.
Yeah, I mean, this shift. I mean, if you've watched our coverage over the years, if you know what the last shift 5 is like at this tournament, it is always stacked. The last 6 games is never short on drama. If you can stay with us for our entire broadcast here, I promise you will not be disappointed. Here's a replay of Billy Thomas.
I think he's going to like that result, wouldn't you, Eric?
Yeah, that was a little heavy on the.
He got away with it was a good ball, but he got away with a ball that, for many bowlers, wouldn't have been a strike, but he kept the pins on the lane. His ball tends to keep the pins up on the deck and moving around, which is a huge advantage.
Matt Anastasi
continues to.
He's on the right side of your screen there. He put 8 on the double and then covered it up. A little bit of a tricky 2-pinner to cut the 2-8. I mean, we do it on the first ball all the time. That doesn't mean it's that easy to do on the second ball. So there's how many past champions do we have on this shift? I mean, there's John D'Antonis, defending champ.
We got Will Rigney.
He's on a pair with.
We got Walt Brooks.
Ron Pelletier. There's Walt Brooks, Will Rigney, Dan Richmond, Steve Dreyer.
A lot.
Yeah, many, many.
A lot of those names you just mentioned are recent winners. So outside of Ron Pelletier, John D'Antonis last year, I know Will Rigney and Dan Richmond within the last 5 years. Steve Dreyer, those guys are all. Well, Steve Dreyer now resides down south, but he's a former Rhode Island bowler. Will Rigney and Dan Richmond, Rhode Island bowlers, pretty much.
Steve, pretty fresh off of quite a weekend in the adult.
Oh my goodness!
Matches.
Yeah, he went
carried nearly a 160 for
incredible
12 games.
Steve right now live on screen, and there's a very nice ball from Steve right there. When you start looking at the bowlers that are in contention, you look at their delivery, you look at their release points, and it's all about this. It's smooth. It just looks so smooth out of their hand. Ball doesn't make a lot of noise getting on the lane. Runs pretty much right where they throw it.
Yeah, Steve, one of those guys you can just count on. There's Billy Thomas. Billy had 145 his first game. It's off to a decent start so far. I mean, 2 opens, but 2 tens, and then followed by a strike, and then good opportunity to convert a spare. It's just a 10-pin.
I had the pleasure of spending the 12 games this weekend bowling with Scott Wogemuth, and talk about the epitome of smooth bowling. And you see Billy convert the 10-pin for the spare. He hit the ball, just comes out of his hand like in one motion. It's a beautiful thing to watch. Dan Richmond, I believe, left the head pin on that. Go off the side for 9. So Dan looking to convert that pin that's closest to him on the alley.
Yeah, Dan, a very recent winner. He didn't win last year. He won the year before.
All over that.
Really, that was a fun one to watch. Dan
Oh,
really,
that was exciting.
down the stretch had to be so sharp. Here's Matt Anastasi.
I want to say either the year before that or 2 years prior, we had the Will Rigney, Leo Montero back and forth, box for box almost finish. That was pretty
really
exciting
fun.
too.
Yeah, I mean, it takes on different forms. Some years you're trying to beat the mark that was set the week before, the weekend before. Some weeks you're head to head with the bowler, frame for frame. You don't know who's going to come out on top until the last frame of the 12th game. It's
a replay of John D'Antonis' first ball bomb. Picks 9 out of that. Left the 5-pin. See John right now trying to convert this 5-pin for spare. Trying to get back on track. And it's very rare to see someone like Johnny struggle, but he gave himself a little bit of room for error with the start he had on Saturday. So he just got to shake this opening stretch off and get back on it. We had one year where I believe we had Jesse Deach in the lead after the first weekend, and it came down to it got pretty late in the tournament before he was actually eclipsed. So
yeah, and Jesse's bowled well in this tournament. I think you might be talking about last year, and indeed, I mean, John D'Antonis did win, and he won by 30 pins, but he needed a 150 game, and he threw a 180 game to do it. So it wasn't a gimme, and John kept it exciting, but it wasn't until the 8th or 9th frame that it was done.
You see Will Rigney trying to pick up a spare, and does a nice job converting the 610. Hit both pins with the ball. That never hurts. Except that was a 10 box. That's my bad. I apologize.
Steve Dreyer. Here's a replay. This is his 5th frame. That was.
Is what you're looking at right now.
Yeah, so Steve doesn't put a ton of velocity on the ball. He does have rotation. That's kind of interesting. I think that certainly helps him. He keeps pins on the lane and gets them spinning and reacting. His average kind of speaks for itself over the years.
Right.
But he's also extremely consistent, very well balanced. Got a strike for Dan Richmond.
Yeah, you just saw that. It was a nice replay of Dan throwing a bomb. Converted the 510 took a little bit to get out of there, but had a working pin, came across, and drove him back into the right side wall.
Got a moment here with the camera issue. We'll get that back up in just a second here, but.
Here we are back in your view. Stacy Kelly right now. That's not Stacy Kelly. He throws the ball harder than that.
Well, while you're on the subject of Stacy Kelly, Stacy did fantastic. His first 6-game block, 863. Is that what that says?
I think it was 883.
883. That's great. And then he was actually on our leaderboard. We were going to keep score for him. He had a rough start. His first game was 117.
He's still barely ahead in the B division.
Yeah, and we'll keep an eye on that, certainly. Leading the B division. And
unfortunately, I know a lot about that.
Yeah. And you never know. No, one big game, and he's back in the mix,
right.
And we'll try to keep track of his scores for you, too.
Not sure about it, but I think at some point this morning I might have been flirting with leading the B division until the reality pill hit. The game is very humbling, Eric.
Yeah, sure. Pat Rufo's name, though, that's head of the C division, and yeah, we're not for a couple of games in the middle there. I mean, the B division was certainly within reach.
If I don't look at the tournament as 2 individual games that I didn't do well, it's the best performance I've had in the Eastern Classic, so I was very happy with the results. Averaged well above my average, and just hit a quick stretch this morning where it just didn't work. So. But that's duckpin bowling. You just saw John D'Antonis.
Tell you what, you got plenty of camera time in. Usually it's pointed, or you're
right.
With the microphone. But this time it was fun watching you.
Well, I know I'm very reserved, and I know I'm not very animated. So there's a big ball right there from Ronnie Pelletier, coming from the left gutter into the pocket, dropping 10. That's a classic Ron Pelletier ball right there. In your frame right now, John D'Antonis, who was our leader coming into this block, he's now trailing slightly. He's not anywhere near out of contention. He's got himself a little bit of a gap to make up. 7 games down, 40, probably 30 pins he's got to make up on Billy Thomas as far as our leader, but more importantly, he is about 25 pins behind Kyle Shaw, who's in the clubhouse. So he needs to start making something happen. And got away with a ball there. Heavy, left himself a 1-pinner. That is the 6-pin. So he'll be trying to convert and get himself on a roll.
Yeah, John is not hitting the line with the normal poise that we see him. Very solid and well balanced and square. He gets his hips square. I mean, he rotates in the middle of his approach. You can see he kind of twists back, but he squares himself up and gets those hips right where they're supposed to go.
Just like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if he was listening to you or not, but what he did on that ball is what he has to do pretty much every time he approaches the lane. That was a very smooth approach, single pin, dead on it. So now we have Steve Dreyer, I believe. I'm sorry, that's Billy Thomas. Billy Thomas with a big 9 drop, leaving the 7-pin. It's interesting to watch Billy Bowl. He used to have a very funky approach and totally gone. It's like bowling a completely different way.
Yeah.
And still bowling great.
Yeah.
It's hard to, I don't know how you do that.
Forgive the silence from time to time here. There's a lot of multitasking going on. We're trying to keep score live across several lanes. It's fun, but it's challenging.
So we're going to go back to John D'Antonis now, who is on a spare fill,
Sneak
looking
the
to
shot of
get
Matt
himself
Anastasi in there.
back in the picture here. Matt, I believe, man, that is
That's
a
ugly.
mess. That's a mess. I'm trying to figure out what that is. So the one is there.
146, 810.
146, 810. That is
Yeah.
something you don't see very often.
Yeah, it's usually not a good thing when there's spaces between the numbers and.
It was an interesting, if not anything else, it was an interesting leave. He'll be happy to come out of that with a, well, he would have been happy with a 9, but that's a 7. Here is Steve Dreyer, who is on a mark. Beautiful, beautiful ball. Leaves himself a solid 4-pin as a really, out of his hand, you can just see the ball smooth. John D'Antonis off camera. We'll be getting to that replay just momentarily, but Steve Dreyer to convert. It just tickles it.
Yeah,
but
he kind of.
all that matters is it's in the books.
Yeah, he kind of crunched himself up and didn't give himself an opportunity to make a real smooth swing and delivery, but he.
And as I almost
He did get it.
gave away, John D'Antonis on that replay rips the 1-5 for a load. So he is continuing to struggle this afternoon. This is a very difficult start for John. He's got to be thankful that he put up a big score yesterday, and he's got a chance to do something in the last 4 games right now, or the last 44 boxes.
Right, if you could keep doing that every now and then when somebody gets up, just direct my attention there so I can score.
Here we have Will Rigney in the camera right now off from the side angle, and that very similar to John D'Antonis right through the middle for 3. Looks like he ripped out the 158. And he's back on there. He rips out 3 more. He's got to try to clean this up for a 9 or 10 box. Very nicely done. Makes that, unfortunately, the 3 load, but he makes it count. So we're waiting for somebody to make a bigger move here. Matt Anastasi right now, in this game, putting himself in a better position as far as moving up the leaderboard.
It looks like so far the hot bowlers on the division here, or the shift rather, that would be Steve Dreyer and Anastasi.
Yeah, Anastasi and Rigney have started out, put themselves in a position to, the first thing they have to do is they've got to get within touch of that 153 average, and then from there it becomes mentally a little bit easier. I think if you're chasing something versus trying to stay even with a score, I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it's a balance you're trying to strike, and focusing on another person's score and a mark that you're trying to get to,
Right.
And just taking it a frame at a time. And you do want to make the most of the opportunity to have the motivation to
Right.
stay focused, but
We have
being
Dan
too
Richmond.
focused on it might
Sorry
be
to
your
cut you off, Eric.
detriment.
We have left-handed Dan Richmond right here with a beautiful ball. Comes up a little heavy. I'll tell you, Eric, the beauty of bowling with Scott Wogelmuth was he was able to. His motif was just every ball going forward. Next ball matters. Doesn't matter what happened. Doesn't matter who has what. Your next ball is the most important ball. He made me focus, and it helped me a lot during the tournament. There's Dan with a cover. Billy Thomas covers up the 2-pinner for a spare right there.
And Dan Richmond had a nice stretch of frames there. He's got a 131 in the ninth, I believe.
And Eric, I'm going to apologize for both of us. This action is so fast and so furious. If I'm going to mess up. I know I'm going to call the wrong name or whatnot, but we'll try to keep the scoreboard as accurate as possible, and also keep whoever's in the screen live for you in front of you. We'll try to get the right names, but it's amazing how the pace of this tournament has been so good. I was so happy with yesterday. I mean, yesterday they were done at a reasonable time. We got done today 20 minutes before the shift started. That's a rare occasion.
It's been a good year with the pace. It's been a good year on a lot of notes. I mean, 160 entrants to this year's event. That's 30 more than last year. Steve Dreyer on the left of your screen there, converting another single pin. That's 4 consecutive marks for him. He's got 116 plus in the eighth.
Coming off a 170 game, he's putting himself in a great position out of the gate.
Here's Will Rigney on the right side of your screen. It's a great,
got
a great spot for the camera right here between
off the
these
side
two
of
pairs.
that pin a little bit. Yep, very nice. There's John D'Antonis off the side. Both of them have makeable spare breaks. Will's just became a little less makeable after that, but
Yeah.
and D'Antonis goes it's just not clean. It's just not a clean leave. And something you don't see a lot of is D'Antonis leaving some pins out there too.
Yeah. He went through the 1-5 and then went 4 and 4 for
Yep.
10. And
So now we have Billy Thomas in front of us. He is our current average leader by just slightly over 1 pin per game. So tenuous lead at best. It's going to get a little better with a ball like that. That was a
fantastic.
monster ball.
I saw it on Facebook. Pat, I don't know if you saw the same thing. I don't quite remember exactly what the score was, but Billy Thomas, maybe about a month ago, had 570 or something like that in his
silly score.
bowling. I mean, just huge number.
Well, as I was referring to earlier, he's completely changed his approach. He used to have that leg kick and the swing, and
Yeah,
it's totally different approach. Steve Dreyer looking to tie up some, and he goes through the hole. So he has 6 load, and now he's got to try to clean it up for a 10 box. Still plus 38, so mark away from a 50.
right.
Well,
Just
he's
one.
going to need a double for a 50 now.
Matt Anastasi here, 128 plus in the eighth.
There's off the
light-
side. That was light. But he's
Light
got
hit.
a chance to make a spare.
You know, he attacks from straight down the center of the lane. You know, it's hard to get pins to mix around if you're a little light or flush in the pocket.
Unless you hit him like that.
But a lot of times
Right.
the ball hits the pocket pretty square.
He's going to walk away from that mark and be very, very happy. Disappointed with the load, but chance to throw another one. You have Johnny D'Antonis right now. I believe he's looking at a 2-pin break for a spare. And the body language told me no, but the result is there's no pins left. So a spare for Johnny D'Antonis. He would love to have a double out here. But if he can mark out, he can put himself into a position to maybe score in the 30s. And, from there it's onward and upward. He's got to go up.
Yeah, he did buy himself a little bit of room with a 943 that first block, but
right.
2 games.
Right. Well, he gave that wiggle room is gone after the first game.
Yeah,
so he's in a 5-game tournament.
We got our first final score in.
Game 7 final, Dan Richmond with a 151, which is not going to hurt his feelings. He still puts himself in the 150 range. That's all you got to do is hang on around that number. Who's this on camera? So Will Rigney looking to load his spare in the 10th, I believe. See him off there on the right side of the screen, and it looks like a 9 or 10 load. We got people right in front of the camera. That's a 10 load. So Rigney squeezes out a 111 there. Not going to help his overall cause, but he's going to have to bounce back from that game, just as D'Antonis is attempting to bounce back from his 104.
And Matt Anastasi on.
Anastasi's doing anything but bouncing back. He's continuing to stay hot. You see Steve Dreyer there leaving the 610 on a pretty solid hit. He also is having himself a real fine game, a chance to get into the high 40s with a mark. Let's convert these two on the corner, and he's all over it. So Dreyer now with 39 plus a hit in the 10th. That will keep him just around that 140, 150 average. Billy Thomas off right there, quickly throwing a strike, as you witnessed.
Matt Anastasi gets to 160. He gets a 9 on the end of that.
Yep, big game for Matt as he moves up the leaderboard.
Yeah, that's 312 for 2.
And there you see Steve Dreyer closing that game out with a 148. So that's not gonna hurt him at all. Dreyer, who's averaging 50.4, is going to drop below that 50. Well, no, he's not. He's going to stick right there at 150.1. So he does move down a spot in the standings overall average-wise because Anastasi with a 60 game. Billy Thomas is probably going to jump ahead of both of them because he is on a double right now. Billy Thomas took a game that was kind of inobscure, 65 in the 5th, and he's turned it into something special here. He throws another big ball here. He's turning this into a 180 game, 170, 180 game.
Yeah, it's becoming the Billy Thomas show. Our bowlers do the shift. One lane to the right.
John D'Antonis trying to chop there. The only time you want to chop is when you leave the 3-9, and he just couldn't get the ball there. So here we have Billy Thomas right now looking to put an exclamation point on this game. He has a possible 190 game. And pretty much out of nowhere, just plodding along, and He puts another bomb here, and he's looking at a game at the 180s.
Yeah, really, really off to a good start here. 145 the first game.
Oh, he caught the. That's a big break, actually. He had the 4-6 for a second. So he'll be shooting at the 6-pin, looking to put himself into a position to. He could be in the 170s with a mark. Another big game for Billy Thomas. He's all over it now. Just load and go. This is a bonus ball for sure, right here for Billy. He's got to be thinking that was an excellent game for him. Coming off of a game where he put himself in the top of the leaderboard, he's now going to extend that lead.
I don't know.
He's waiting for a ball.
Now, Billy Thomas waiting for a ball to finish his game. 7 pins gets him 170.
Yeah, I completely understand where Billy's coming from right here. I finished the game today with a triple, and I had to wait. And you know what? You throw 2 balls in a row with the same ball, you get a strike. If that third one goes, you're going to wait for the fourth one. He's on a roll right now, and I'm sure he wants that first ball back.
That's right. That's 5 consecutive marks.
Well, if you look
double.
at his Eric, look at his. He's got 9, 9, 10, 10. 9. Those are all buried.
Yeah, quality. One more ball to finish a great game and a good start. You see his name on the top of the Open Division leaderboard. Also, take note, Matt Anastasi, Steve Dreyer, 3rd and 4th.
And Billy Thomas's 154.6 average is about to take a move in the right direction. With 7 games in, he's going to go roughly 20 pins over average. He's going to add about 2 to 3 pins to that average. He's going to be up in the 156, close to the 157 average range.
So those 2 bowlers in the 3rd and 4th position on the leaderboard. 312 for Matt Anastasi for his first 2, and 322 for Steve Dreyer, his first 2.
Big scores. Not unexpected.
Yeah, I think we did see a couple of bowlers have 2 great games to open their morning in shift 3, and then kind of fall flat in the third game. It'd be interesting to see if we see something similar.
Well, it took me till the 4th game, Eric, but
yeah, you held on. You held on.
But boy, did I fall flat. And there's Billy with a big ball right there. He's happy. 172. Huge game for Billy Thomas. That puts him very, very close to the 157 average mark, giving himself a tiny cushion. 156.8. Keep an eye on that average because that's what it's all about in the end.
Okay, so he has himself, you just take 3 times 8, and that's 24 pins. He's got a 24-pin cushion above the average of 153.5. He's got to average about a 151 or 2 to 151 about to make sure that stays ahead of Kyle. Now, that's 4 games after a pretty impressive start to this. That's a hard pace to keep, especially this being the second shift, or second block, rather, of a 12-game stretch. But Billy is looking very confident. Steve Dreyer on the left side of your lane, starting his 3rd game of this block. And he's going to have to settle for 8. All right, we're trying to catch up a little bit with scorekeeping as we transition. The bowler slide, we reposition cameras. We're keeping an eye to see if any other bowlers had some high games. There may be some people who are off the leaderboard who are making a bid to get on it. For now, we're sticking with the bowlers we've got. Following the scores of Walt Brooks, John D'Antonis, Billy Thomas, Will Rigney, Dan Richmond, Steve Dreyer, and Matt Anastasi.
Who's on your screen right now, lofting the ball, then boom, gone. That was a monster.
Yeah, that guy has got some
big
power.
red. That was a big red ball. I'm gonna go on that big red thing.
These guys are. I mean, him, his brother. Does he have two brothers? I know.
I know it's him and his brother and his dad. I've seen him and his brother and his dad, but I think it's just one brother.
We're being told it's his uncle is the other person.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
But, just fantastic bowlers. I mean, their form is...
Trying to think of where I was with all three of them. I believe it was the Pro Tour stop at Highland Bowl. I actually made the cut, and all three Anastasis were there. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, we just they were teamed up in the February alumni matches.
Right.
We were in our division. We had a game against them. I don't even remember what the outcome was, but I tell you what,
Fun to watch.
You expect a fight from these guys. They're so capable of scoring. Dan Richmond.
Richmond pretty thankful that actually probably happy that two-pin stayed where it was. He's got the 257. Looking at the 5.7 there for a second.
Such a nice, smooth delivery.
Well, that word right there is, I think, one of the keys to duckpin bowling, the smooth. Between games, Eric, I did talk to Billy Thomas and just quickly tried to get sort of a read on where that change in approach came from. He said about 2 years ago, and mainly to do with his knees.
Oh, really?
He just wasn't having some issues with the knees, and
yeah, I mean, it's such a fundamental.
Completely changed his approach
to re-engineer it, and
it's
to be
in 2 years.
well with
And he did have a 570. As you said, he had just recently come off a 570 set, which is hard to believe. He said it was an easy house. I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I mean, easy house.
Any house is, come on. They're all easy when you throw 570, I think.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, 570. I mean, 190, 190, 190.
Yeah, hello.
A lot of ways to get there, but.
Steve Dreyer with a very smooth release. Try to run down the 5-pin.
Matt Anastasi.
Coming off a straight. That might have been a double.
That was a spare.
Was that for 10? I'm sorry. Steve Dreyer looking to convert the 5-pin for a spare. And you could almost from the moment it left his hand, you saw his body language try to move that ball to the right, to the left, and it just wasn't going.
Nice.
It's always that easy third ball. Here's Will Rigney in your picture right now.
I think I don't know if this is something he's going to continue doing, but I noticed on a couple of balls there that he is not squaring his hips up that nicely to at the foul line.
Well, and that's got to be a matter of just foot speed, I would imagine, Eric.
Yeah, I don't
see Will right there,
Steve, to
cross
have,
over.
Mistakes like that for a long period of time. He was one of those bowlers who'll work it out.
Here's our current tournament average leader Billy Thomas, who's coming off 2 big games. It's off to the left side of the head pin, and he's going to not get a break. He's going to end up with a 5-10. I'm sure he would admit that that was not his best pocket hit of the day. He was a little light on the side of the 1 pin off to the 1-2 side. So, you got a chance you're going to slide this over. It's a makeable spare. I think you see Richmond convert on the right side of your screen. At this point, Billy Thomas is, if he's going to get a break like that, he's just going to make a 10 and move to the next box. He's set himself up through the first 2 games to have the luxury of being able to afford a couple of balls like that. It wasn't a bad ball.
His leaderboard has changed already quite a bit since before the shift began. Looking in the 6th position, you see John Blace. You see in 5th, Bernie Hipkins. Eric Pellet in 7th. And John D'Antonis has dropped down to 8th position at this point. He's got a mountain to climb to get himself back into the first couple of positions right now.
Well, you start looking at an 8-game total when you're over 10 pins back. You're talking 80 pin difference in 4 games. That's
a costly couple of games he just had there.
Yeah. Not to beat a dead horse, but I know what he's feeling right there. The same pair, too. 7, 8, 9, 10.
Steve Dreyer on the left here. He just missed a single. Is he going to pay the price?
He hopes so, but he threw the middle there for 5.
Well, he paid a price, not the
price he was
one.
hoping to pay. It's John D'Antonis trying to get something started. And that's one way to do it. You see the reaction there. Hey, I got one.
Matt Anastasi on the right there.
Steve Dreyer trying to get out of this box, but he ends up with a 6 box, so that's gonna leave a little bit of a mark. He's not gonna be happy with that. Right now, Anastasi's looking to make up some ground. He's down roughly 40 pins to our leader right now overall. Well, roughly, it's on the board. It's 41. I'm a math teacher. I can actually subtract. I'm focusing so much on the averages, I didn't even realize we have the scores right there as well.
A replay of John D'Antonis' last frame. Got a friendly mix on this.
Yeah, he did get a very nice mix, but you see where he comes through that one. He's still
you can see him.
It's still shifted off to the left.
Yeah.
So
his center of gravity is just not positioned right on top of his
his
foot.
His finish is not right through the middle. Here's Matt Anastasi right with a. I'm going to say that's going to be the 9-10. It wasn't a pocket hit. He is not getting away with that ball right there. He does make the 9-pin for 1. He's going to try to clean this up for a 10 box.
I like that Matt sports the hockey beard.
Oh, that Big Red. I called him Big Red the other night. He was like, yeah, call me that. That's a huge beard. It's a beautiful beard.
Dan Richmond standing in front of lane 13.
Dan's trying to continue. He's got 2 marks to start this game out of the first 3 boxes. He's looking for a big load here. Nice ball. Got a nice mix, and he will take that.
He's got a nice shot here of the 2 lefties, 2 guys with similar rotation and
very similar
angles, attacks to the pocket. Both past Eastern Classic winners.
Yep. Ronnie comes from a little bit further from the left, but pretty much essentially the same ball.
Well, you know the ball's got to work in this place, right? It's got to. There's 5 Eastern Classics between those two bowlers right there.
I would say that would be a pretty good indication that the ball works. You see off to the side there, Billy Thomas. I believe he dropped a 9, leaving the head pin. That's always a favorable leave when you leave the head pin on your first ball. You have to think, I missed what I was shooting for, but I got a break.
Sure, I mean it is. I mean you feel fortunate, but then again, sometimes it's a little bit of an extra challenge on the second ball to find the head pin. You don't. You definitely don't take it for granted. And there, Billy kind of missed it again. Yeah.
Yeah, he was all over that one.
Will throws a strike.
Will Rigney on screen there with a bomb.
That's a double.
2 for Will.
Matt Anastasi, Steve Dreyer, both in your angle there, your camera. In view of the lens. Oh.
And not a break there for Matt.
I think the lanes are a random draw here, right? Is that the...
Where you start is, yes, you randomly draw where you start.
I got to imagine this worked out pretty well for Will and Dan. Good friends, childhood friends, been bowling together forever. Definitely sitting there supporting and pushing each other through the tournament.
Yep, they came up through youth together and both won Eastern Classics within 3 years of each other, I believe, or maybe back to back. I'm not sure if it was
close, yeah.
Consecutive. Yeah. Well, why am I guessing? Because it's right here in front of me. Will Rigney in 2016 and Dan Richmond in 2017.
Yeah, here's a
Previous
replay.
to that was Ron Pelletier, who would be their mentor / idol, I guess, growing up as a young bowler on Island. Ron Pelletier was and still continues to be the top average bowler on Island, as has been happening for the last 20 to 30 years.
Yeah, we played a replay of John D'Antonis throwing a strike. That was a double. He opened his third game with a double. Exactly what he needs to do.
Well, I'm sure that's what he is thinking of right now, is one strike after another, as many as I can throw.
Steve Dreyer, I believe, has missed his second single of his game.
I believe he has.
He's got he's sandwiched 2 missed singles with a 6-box in the middle of it. I mean, it's just,
Billy Thomas just converted the 10-pin for a spare. So he started off with a couple of opens, but he does have a slight cushion, not a lot, but I'm sure getting that mark on the board is going to mentally set him back on pace.
Had Will Rigney, I think, off camera. I'm not sure if we're going to have a replay of it, but he was filling a double and left the 7-10. Gets the 7-pin to add to the hit. No, I missed a ball.
No, Eric, there's no worries. This is fast and furious at best. So.
All right, I think I've got it right here. So he had a 3 on the double. And then 5 and 1. Will has 70 in the 5th. You got a replay of that? We're still in the process of repositioning a camera, and we missed John D'Antonis throw his third in a row. John has a triple to open his 9th game.
And that ball, again, just light off the side of the 1-2 pocket for Steve and leaves a bucket. Matt Anastasi, I believe, just left the 4-5.
If I'm not mistaken, that's 3 consecutive splits for him. I'm not sure he's quite on the head pin the way
that one might
like
have been
be,
the better of the 3 balls, even though it wasn't tight. He doesn't have he's one of those bowlers that doesn't have a lot of room for error because the pins jump over.
Yeah, and I think his light hit is prone to kind of mixing in a bad way. Right. If you're without any extra angle. Yeah. He throws straight down the lane.
He throws a very, very heavy ball.
Yeah. Trying to catch up on some scores.
There's a ball. Big shot there, big strike on camera, and saw one of our Washington Capitol fans from down south on screen. We're waiting. We have Steve Malacone in front of us. We have the honor of having Alexander Ovechkin bowling in this tournament. It's awesome.
Celebrity appearance.
What a pro-am, I think.
Yeah.
It's a pro-am.
Pro-am, yeah.
We'll stay with our action down here from the right-hand side of the house, lanes 15 through 20. Now on screen we have our current leader, Mr. Billy Thomas, who is 1254 through his first 8 games.
Billy's filling a mark in the 3rd frame, 2 opens, and a mark. I'm not sure if I'm confusing it with somebody else's game, but I thought that might be how he started his last game, and that ended up all right for him.
It ended up pretty well. That's not going to help. Leaves the 9-10. Billy right now on average pace to hit around 1872. So I thought we had a shot this year at seeing a 1900. The way the pins were falling, I thought somebody would get out there and put up a monster, but and Billy can still do that. But I thought there'd be several people approaching that 1900 mark, just from what I saw earlier in the season, as far as scores.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you were bowling, Pat, earlier today. Jim and I were talking about the way the house has been falling. Our expectation that the scores were going to be higher. I mean, I saw it firsthand in the few games that I bowled here. The house is definitely
your
moving a lot better.
Your brother had a great tournament. Sean did really well, and he was throwing a working ball. He had a lot of big 9 or strikes. He was 9-dropping, striking a lot. This Dan Richmond trying to,
and he's done really well in this house. Great outing for him.
Huge Connecticut tournament with I think he had over 840 for 5 games.
Right. Matt Anastasi, if I've got this right, that's 4 consecutive splits.
I believe if we were on automatic scoring, you'd see some red dots, a lot of red dots.
I believe Steve just...
Yeah, the way he shook his head, I'm going to say, phew, I got one.
Yeah, that was a rough start to this game, but certainly a good time.
All right. D'Antonis for a 4-bagger. Why not? So
watch.
That's a huge start for D'Antonis. It's almost had to have that.
Get this in replay, slow motion too. Watch him land at the line. Still kind of what we're talking about.
Yeah, he's not smooth.
Yeah,
And
he was fighting really hard to keep
got
that
away
ball
with
on the
it.
head
Got
pin.
away with it.
Yeah, but that's that's what I think of when I think of John D'Antonis.
Tie him up.
Just hard-working every moment of his delivery. To keep the ball
Right.
down the line.
So if D'Antonis was going to get himself back in it, he did it the best possible way to come out of the gates with a 105th.
Yeah, exactly what he needed. I don't think he's got any time to take a breath. He's going to have to get right back to work with the
What I'm saying is his first two games put him in a position where he had to do what he just did. Now he's got 3.5 games to go.
Yeah.
Here we have Billy Thomas back on screen, trying to shake off that last box where he left the 9-10. A fairly good hit. And he would be perfectly honest and say, I'm glad I got a 9 drop on that, because that ball was off the side of the head but left himself a makeable spare. Steve Dreyer. That was, we call 9 and a hard wiggle. Big load. Billy Thomas covers. So Billy in need of a little move. He's got an advantage, but D'Antonis has him by 44 through 4 boxes this game. So that makes up a lot of pins real fast.
Steve Dreyer trying to right the ship here. That's two marks in a row, 2 consecutive marks after 5 opens. He's
coming off of 2 big games. So
coming off of 2 big games. He's just over the frame here, and hopefully turning it around.
So here's John D'Antonis coming off of an open after starting the game with a triple, trying to get himself right back on the horse here and square up and throw a bomb. And instead, good ball, bad result. So 5-7-10 for John D'Antonis on that first ball. And no contact on the second ball, so he's just looking to clean up here, get an 8, move on. Does put him in the 90s through 5. And just to show off, he takes 2 out of 3 for that. So he's at 96 through 5. So that's still a good start. Last ball is probably a little painful for him. Looked like a good ball.
That's all right. 46 over the mark, or over the frame for John.
Absolutely. It's Dan Richmond, who's quietly having a game that could get in. You saw his 2-finger reaction. He knew what he had when he let go of it.
Yeah, off to a pretty steady start in this game. 4 out of 5 marks. He's dropping 8 and 9.
Missed a single.
Then he missed a single, and he's been a little off track since.
But that's a big bounce back right there with that ball.
Yeah, how do you like that? Nice
I like it. I like it a lot.
Matt Anastasi is unfortunately struggling this game. It's funny how quickly things change, right? He goes 8, mark, and then 4 consecutive splits, and now he's just kind of searching for it.
I completely understand. I was on a roll I bowled 9 games in a row above my average, and then 2 games, it was like I didn't know what I was doing. But these guys know what they're doing. It's just bad break. See a lot of zeros there for Matt Anastasi on the second ball. It's not usually a sign of a good game either.
That just could be him attempting to
Well,
convert a
because he's
split.
been shooting so many splits.
Yeah,
I know. Sorry if I meant, I didn't mean that in a negative way. It's like he's been shooting 4.5s, 5.7s, 5.10s.
Right.
If you're trying to make them, yeah,
A local bowler, he bowls in the house, Pete Gilbert. Just
he's got a triple,
right in
I
front
think.
of us through a triple. He's not on camera, but
They all count.
I don't know if we should be giving him on-air credit for that. We just heard that the first
Yeah, he
two
said
were
the first two
backdoor.
weren't even headpin hits. That's not right. Is that a four? He's got a four-bagger? It's a four-bagger. Right? Pete. Four? Is that four? Oh. All right. Well, we're looking right now to look Billy Thomas, John D'Antonis, Steve Dreyer. These guys are. This is one of those games where this is a reset game, maybe. Billy is struggling. D'Antonis is right in the ship. Steve Dreyer's just hanging in there. So Matt Anastasi is struggling. So our two of the top four in this particular game are probably going to fall down in the rankings.
Yeah, we just we got an update to through game 8. Stacey Kelly, he is the B division leader, but he was the B division leader before we got his 8th game tabulated. Well, that was a 176. He moved up in average.
Big game for Stacey.
And now take a look. He's on the open division leaderboard in the 7th position.
So, again, doing the quick math, Eric, that puts him 6 pins on average behind Kyle. He has through 8 games, so he's about 50 pins back. So you got to go 153 plus 50. He's a legitimate contender at this point with one more big game.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's a replay of ball John D'Antonis just threw. It was a 9-pin explosion. And see how solid he is at that point, right? Now that's a ball delivered much better, right?
No movement at the line, just straight through.
Yeah.
And then we're going to watch him here attempt to convert the 6-pin for a spare.
There we go.
And that's the John D'Antonis we thought we were going to see all day, and that maybe we're going to see him for the rest of the day now.
Yep. Stacey Kelly, this game, he's about to throw his 10th frame. He's got 121 in the 9th. He's not working on a mark. He actually is shooting at the 5-pin for a spare.
Steve Dreyer, oh my goodness. 17, 18 have not been kind to Steve. That was a solid ball for the 9-10. Dan Richmond, chance to go 60.
Will Rigney gets a strike on his spare.
Richmond's off the board.
Got a final score in here for Matt Anastasi. He only able to get to 120, but he put 20 on the end to try to end on a good note. Stacey Kelly, whom we don't have a camera on, 8 fill on the end. He's got a 139.
That's not going to kill. He's got a nice score. I'm going B division. I'm sorry. It's not going to help him in his open pursuit, but he is moving. I would be shocked if he doesn't move up a little bit because I've seen
Yeah,
where
we've got
Dryer
some
and Anastasia are going to
some low
drop
scores
down.
this game. Yeah.
Here's John D'Antonis looking to load his mark. That was a very, very smooth delivery and great result. Ladies and gentlemen, John D'Antonis is back.
Get a nice replay of this. This is a great angle of him. See him open up, but then just, squares those hips up.
Notice
And
the
then
finish. His right foot behind him, not out in front of him.
That's right. He gives a really clear lane for himself to kind of go through the bottom of his swing. And then even though there's rotation, I wouldn't advise bowlers add a lot of rotation in their approach. Even though there's rotation in his game, he squares up very nicely, very consistently at the end of his at the time of his delivery.
Looking at Dan Richmond here trying to punch this in the face. He's got the 1-5-8-9. Very difficult spare break. And he made the best of it. He got a 9 load out of that. So he has put himself into the 150s. Finishes that game with a 151. So Dan is off our leaderboard right now, but we might see him jump back in there. He's got 3 big ones to go.
Steve Dryer putting a 10th frame on his game. This has been a struggle for him for sure. 98 in the 9th.
Another one. 7-8. He's had the 9-10, 7-8 leave 3 times this game.
Yeah, that is rough. I mean, he's had some misses on his opportunities, too. It's just kind of one of those games where things aren't working out, He's going to have to regroup after this. He and Matt Anastasi both. There it is, that third game.
Yeah, it's you talked about it briefly. You saw a couple of people this morning come out, smoking out of the gate, and then that 3rd, 4th, 5th game. It's 12-game tournament is for bowling for duckpin bowling for any kind of bowling. It's a marathon.
Yeah, I mean there's room for 2 or 3 different stretches of good bowling and bad bowling inside of 12 games.
Here's a replay of Billy Thomas, who is currently our average leader. He likes it, and he should, because that is as good as it gets right there. So that puts him at 20 plus. He does have 2 boxes to go. He has a chance to get 250. Will Rigney finishing in the high 40s.
Yeah, that's a 147.
4-time Eastern Classic winner Ron Pelletier on your screen with he's directing air traffic control right there. All right. So you just saw Ron Pelletier finish up right there. We have John D'Antonis back on screen trying to throw another double. This is would have been his 2nd double of this game.
Yeah, I think he's pretty consistently on the
he
left
feels
side of
good
that
right
head
now.
pin.
He looked very comfortable on that release. He picks this mark up right here. He's got a chance for a 180 game. Yeah, John D'Antonis is completely righted the ship now. Triples will help you start the motion, but he kept it going. So as you keep an eye on our updated leaderboard, you're seeing now only 2 bowlers currently above that magic number of 150. One of them is in the clubhouse. One of them is done. The other one is Billy Thomas, who's on your screen right now, throwing a very heavy ball, but got away with it. He will take that and run. Trying to tie these up for a spare and salvage this game. He was a little bit of a struggle early on, 43 through 4, but since then he has marked in 3 of the last 4 boxes, trying to tie these 2 pins up for another one, and all over it, hits both with the ball. So Billy Thomas is of the top 5, top 6. He has held his own, and John D'Antonis has made himself a contender again.
Yeah, don't count him out. He's just waiting for you to count him out, and then he does, then he throws triples.
That would be a big mistake.
So Matt Anastasi's last game, a 120, certainly off the pace that he set for himself so far today. But he's going to shift from lanes 19 and 20, the last pairs being used on the right side of the house. He's going all the way down to 1 and 2. He's going to be out of the range of the camera, so we're not going to follow his score ball by ball here, but we'll give updates. And when he moves over to 3 and 4, he'll be in range.
Yep.
If he's still in the position he's in on the leaderboard, we'll be keying his scoring. In the meantime,
more importantly, right now, John D. back up on the lane, 9 and 10, 9th and 10th boxes. He's as smooth as it gets right there. He knew it when he let go of it.
Yeah,
He now has himself in position to shoot in the 190s, or perhaps throw that first 200 game of the 89th Eastern Classic.
Yeah, here's for the 5th time this game, a strike from John D'Antonis. Yeah, it's pretty good mix there. I mean, it was a little light on the right side, but it had a lot of clearing action.
Well, I tell you what, coming off the 2 games he bowled, you got to give him all the credit in the world, because he did not let it affect him mentally. He straightened it out. He smoothed it out. Everything about it is completely different than what we were watching for the first 2 games.
And, by the way, an opportunity for a double. In fact, a 4-bagger. It could be a really, really monster game. It's already going to be a really big game, but it could be a really enormous one.
Go 216. He can go 216.
Yeah.
It's always good when you have a chance to go 216 and you're in the 9th box.
Yeah.
Woo.
Right.
I mean, you can look at it early on, but he has a legitimate shot at throwing a 200 game. And that would just vault him back up into the top 4 at least, if not more. Now, Billy Thomas is not going away quietly. He is plus 30 and a hit. So he's looking at a possible 50 game, which would keep his average above Kyle Shaw. Probably drop it maybe a pin or so, but it would still put Billy Thomas, after 9 games, on average in the lead. And here we have Billy right now setting up for his 10th and final box of this 9th game.
Similar to the earlier shift today, there seems to be 2 paces at work here. One area in the house is kind of going a little faster than the other, so we've got you can see the top 3 bowlers on the score sheet here still wrapping up their 3rd game of the block.
All right, Billy blows through the middle, but does catch a late break on that ball, so it leaves him with the 2-4-10. But the way he throws the ball, if he splits the 2-4, I think he's got a legitimate chance of making.
Yeah, he's got a ball that'll make this both ways. He could go heavy on the 2 pin and kick the kick the 4 off the wall. He could split the 2 just like that, almost.
It was a little too
heavy on
heavy. Yeah, but so now he's looking at finishing in the 30s. That's going to knock him down a peg. John D'Antonis, when he steps onto the lane, has a chance to go real big here. I think that game will keep Billy ahead of Kyle Shaw as far as average pace, but depending on what John D'Antonis does, Johnny could actually vault himself back up into the top of the leaderboard.
You know, as I start keying in scores for Stacey Kelly, it just reminds me that every year, Stacey Kelly.
His name's on the board a lot, huh?
Stacey Kelly makes himself relevant.
Yes, he does.
I think he's a past Division B winner.
Hey, I don't see my name up there, so I'm just like, my name's sitting there. It's been on there. It was actually up in that top part there for a while.
Yeah, it was right in the mix.
I had a good. You know what? I enjoyed it. I can't talk enough about Scott Wolgamuth. What a pleasure to spend 2 days with that man.
Yeah.
Wonderful guy.
What did he say?
I don't know what that means. All right, if we're going to see a 200 game, this next ball is going to be a big part of it. That was a light hit, and he did not get away with it.
Not this time. I mean, honestly, that's not that different than the ball he threw the last frame.
Nope.
Just maybe a little bit, quarter of an inch or so outside
The extra
of it.
pin didn't help him.
But you can see,
that ball,
really
that
got
ball
a different,
barely touched the head pin. Yeah.
He's looking a lot different than he did in games 1 and 2.
It's all confidence. I mean,
Yeah.
he's throwing a 180 game, so. If you're going to bounce back, 60 is nice, 70 is nice, 85's really, really nice.
Yeah, fantastic.
So as you can see, that puts John D'Antonis right back in the picture. Billy Thomas, after his 9th game, hanging on. He's got about a 1 pin over 9 games. He's got about a 9-pin advantage through the 9th. But at this point, it's anybody can go anywhere. But look what's up on the top in the top 4. 12 games in the house. It's tough to go get those.
Yep.
Even Bernie Hipkins, who did not hit 1,800, he could still finish second.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Billy, believe me, 3 games left. Billy with I guess a 10-pin cushion to give up.
Whatever. It's insignificant.
He's got to. I mean, he's really still got to be sharp. I mean,
right.
You know what it's like, right? You're off just a little bit, and
it
can be really costly.
It's cumulative.
Yeah, you have a game just like Matt Anastasi did.
Matt had it.
A lot of splits, and
Johnny had it. We watched Steve have it.
Yep.
It's a culmination of you throw a good ball and get a bad break, and then you miss a break, and now you're starting to question whether or not anything can go right. And the next thing you know, you're throwing a 100 game.
Right.
You can't think. You got to just let what happens in front of you happen and not think about it, which is what John D'Antonis was able to do in his 3rd game. Because that put him now, instead of having a disastrous 370, he goes 410.
Nothing I can think of here. I mean, I don't know if you see any big scores out there.
He goes 104, 115. So he's at 219, looking at dire straits.
Yep.
And he goes over 400.
Yeah.
And that's all he needed to do in the first 3 games of this block. So now for him, it's a 3-game tournament, which You close that window, and it's go time.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. We're asking John D'Antonis to shoot 465.
Yeah, right.
How many times in
Right.
John D'Antonis's
Right.
bowling career has he hit 465?
We're asking Billy Thomas to shoot 450, and he's going 570.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is anybody's game. This is anybody's game, and we're starting to get down to the wire here. We can start focusing our attention a little bit. I think in the next game, we'll be spotlighting
Great.
the people who are really emerging.
As we talked about, Eric, look at that name in position 7 on the leaderboard. B bowler, Stacy Kelly.
That's right.
Local bowler, East Hartford guy. He is in position where if he goes off, and we've seen him go over 200. He threw a 200 game in last year's Eastern because I remember he was in contention the whole time last year. I believe he won the B division. And he's in position of back-to-back B division wins.
I got it, Jim. Maybe.
My TV's off.
All right, so
Where are we? Okay.
we're
3 to go, Eric.
three to go. We're halfway through this block. Some interesting comings and goings, right? We had Steve Dreyer and Matt Anastasi off to a really big start. We had John D'Antonis flatter than
Yep.
you could almost imagine him for a couple of games, and then roaring back with a 185. And then Billy Thomas, steady and solid, right?
He has been very steady and he has not had that hiccup either way.
Yeah, he did have that big game in the second one, but he's
Right.
looked pretty solid the whole time.
And as we look at the leaderboard on the open end, it's funny. Dan Richmond and Will Rigney are exactly tied after 9 games. 2 former winners of this tournament, both of them very close friends, bowling almost side by side.
Yeah, just trading a couple of pins back and forth
Exactly
between
the
each.
same games.
Yeah.
And the gentleman I bowl with, world record holder Scott Wolgamuth, now up
Climbing.
in 13th place on
He's
the
just
leaderboard.
he's I think on his ride home,
never
and he's
goes away.
climbing up the leaderboard.
Never goes away.
That's how good he is. He's driving home, and he's better than most of us.
So let's do this. Let's go. You got any? I know we usually do this early on, but any feelings?
Yeah,
Who you
I
got?
had a pick before.
I got one right now.
I had a pick before I walked in.
Who was it? Because I wasn't on air, so.
It wasn't on air, but the executive producer heard me say it. I picked Matt Anastasi.
All right. Well,
He's fading a little bit, but
I'm
3
gonna
games is a lot
I'm
of
gonna
bowling.
be honest. My pick was Kyle Shaw.
That's a good pick.
I just
So, I like
it's
that
just
pick right now.
It's a pick where if you pick Kyle Shaw, it's a matter of time. All right, John D'Antonis starting off game 10, dropping 9. We have the distinct pleasure of not only do we have cameras on John D'Antonis, but we also have the advantage of them bowling right in front of us as they finish the tournament.
Right. So if you assume that John D'Antonis is going to be a factor in the last few games here, we've got a front row seat. This is great.
And
and so do you at home.
Guess who's with him?
Yeah.
Billy Thomas.
Billy Thomas. Yeah. I mean, this is shaping up to be a great position to watch this from. But I'm not counting out my pick. He's down there on 1 and 2.
Oh no! Listen, I'm just telling
High scoring pair. We're gonna.
I know it sounds false because he's already in the clubhouse. He's not in the lead though. But I thought the way the pins have been falling and the way I've seen Kyle throw, I thought Kyle Shaw was a Billy Thomas with a 7 drop to start his 10th game. All he's got to do is hit the pocket.
He's making it look easy.
Thank you. There was no doubt about it. So we have Billy Thomas and John D'Antonis out the gate, game 10, with marks on each side. Right next door to them, in front of our cameras, we have Will Rigney. And we have Dan Richmond.
This is Will on a strike here. Yikes. Oh, Messenger. Spinning Messenger. Sweep the leg. No,
It
not
did
this time.
everything but hit it.
Yep.
Came over and took a good look at it, though.
Pat, did you like that Karate Kid reference there? Did you catch it?
That was nice.
Yeah.
Wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
Wash, paint the floor. What is it? Paint the fence?
That's what Will's going to do with this pin right here. Oh,
Ooh, no.
oh boy.
Nope. That ball came out way quick. All right, so we've watched John D'Antonis morph into a 150 bowler again, as he struggled through the first 20 boxes today. A little bit of balance issues, but now he's just at the line and things are just working for him.
I think we're going to have a replay of
Well-
Dan Richmond's strike. Well, we could get one here of John D'Antonis.
So I think they were both on camera. So we had one strike on the right side and one strike on the left
Yeah,
side.
here's Richmond. This was a great one. Pin flying over.
Dan's was a messenger. John's was like all hands on deck.
Yeah, I mean, John's had a couple of strikes like that. I think, he's got rotation on the ball, the way that, it works in the pocket. So when he gets a little bit light, he still gets a lot of, sweeping from the pins. They stay down and they move around.
But he had the 6, 9, 10.
Yeah. But he's got, I don't want to take anything away from him. He just threw a
No.
185, but he's got a lot of balls that are light in the pocket.
Yeah.
I know you can tell he's still not completely in the clear. He's working
Right.
hard.
Right. God forbid if he ever gets comfortable.
Got a replay of Stacey Kelly's strike over there.
Stacey Kelly is having himself a heck of a tournament. See Will Rigney right now trying to fix the mess, and he did. Wow. That's amazing.
That was fun.
I don't know how he left that, but it was a great make. I guess he had to rip off the side for 2, and it bounced back and caught the 6 pin. But what a mess! Ken Thomas right there dropped 9 in front of you as we follow the action.
Kevin Martin.
Ken Thomas. Who's
K. Martin.
I know Ken Thomas. He's a good friend of mine. That's Kevin Martin. Kevin Martin's a huge Red Sox fan. I know that. He has a Yaz plate.
Well, in spite of that, he's a great guy.
I knew that. I knew that was going to rub you the wrong way.
Kevin, I love watching Kevin bowl. He's one of those guys who slides on the other foot, and he's still a fantastic bowler.
Yep.
Defies everybody's expectations. Of what the limitations of somebody sliding on the other leg.
What are you supposed to do? Not that.
Yeah. It just shows you. There's a lot of ways to get to the foul line. A lot of ways to deliver the ball.
This is an interesting way to produce this because we've got lulls in between. Right now we got Stacy, we got Will and Dan, and then we got our leaders. They're all almost perfectly in sync. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. There's Stacey Kelly in the center of your screen. He's on a strike. 2 consecutive marks for him.
He goes
That ball on
off
the inside of the 3.
Yeah, off the side for 7. He'll take it.
Yep, filling a strike. So
7 and another.
Steve Dreyer a little farther down, right side of the camera.
He's off the side as well. I think he had 8 out of that. Now we're going to have Billy and John back shortly to continue their 10th game. Both have opened with marks in the first 2 boxes, so game's on.
Stacy Kelly picks off that head pin. There's Dan trying his hand at a double. He got 9.
So Billy Thomas is going to step up. He's off of, I believe he had a 7 load. He has the 139. Going to hit this either heavy or real light. He chooses in between and makes it. So Billy will tell you he got away with that one because it wasn't where I don't think he wanted to hit it there, but the end result is all good. We do now. Oh, Ryan Pelletier with a 4-timer.
Steve, you hear us?
Room zoom zoom.
Will Rigney on the right there, and John D'Antonis on the left.
D'Antonis looking to throw another double. And that would have been...
Yeah, tickled the 10 pin, but 7-10. We'll see if somebody will.
I was
going to
say he would have been extremely happy with a 9 drop there.
Yeah. Now look, I mean, this is what I'm a little concerned about for John because there's the ball.
Yep.
Light in the head pin.
Understood.
And he almost did get to 10, but we're not far from
No.
that. Not you know.
They
They're
could have been
falling
4 or
1 minute.
5.
They're not. They're falling
Yeah.
1 minute. They could stop falling the next. He's really got to work
No,
on
he's
getting in
not.
that pocket.
The last 2 balls he's thrown have not been great, but he's maintained the course. He needs to get a little more. I think your interpretation is he's got to square up a little bit better at the line. As Billy Thomas goes after his 4th box and leaves the 5-7. But then again, I could be wrong because who knows? The 7 might kick out.
Yeah. Here's replay of Billy's first ball.
And you definitely got to take advantage of those, right? That's
Yeah.
a great break. Billy Thomas, 4 spares in a row out the gate.
Yeah, this is good time for this. I mean, it's nice to be throwing spares too on the head pin and then covering your mark. That's confidence building. Save the strikes for later. They may not come, you know. But in the meantime, you're.
From what we've seen today, Billy hasn't been relying on strikes. D'Antonis has. So we'll see if that plays out in the last 2.5 games.
So we've got a few bowlers here who are John D'Antonis, and now heavy.
Is that
Light
back-to-back
last time.
710s?
Light last time, heavy this time.
You don't see
Same
that
result.
very often, Eric.
No,
Back-to-back 710s. I mean, the first ball was light. That was a good hit. But the
It's a little
chances of
unusual.
getting that back-to-back got to be very slim.
So, here we are 6 frames in to the 10th game. I'd say a couple of the bowlers that we've been tracking are starting to fade out a little bit of the picture
Right.
to win the tournament. There'll be factors on the leaderboard, but
Well-
Will Rigney, Dan Richmond, Steve Dreyer starting to really fall off
Right.
here.
Well, half of the top 12 are now people that have finished bowling. Your brother Sean has moved up. Scott Wolgamuth has moved up. Eric Pellet has moved up. The bowlers that are completed their bowling have been moving up.
Yeah.
The bowlers that are currently bowling have been slipping.
We got a report on Matt Anastasi's score here. He's down on 1 and 2 outside of our camera view. In the 5th frame, he's got 65 plus, working on a mark. Stacy Kelly there to the left of the head pin. A little bit of a tricky 5-pinner. I think you'd much rather have the 6-pin there than the 9-pin standing. That changes the way you've got to try to get the head pin.
Hey Brian, not critical, but this right through 9 is jumped into the picture on B side. As well as Pete Gilbert on the C division. But I don't know who right is.
Yeah, it's challenging to keep up with all the bowlers in the open division who are bowling well in this shift, but we're noticing here down in the B and C division we've got bowlers who have climbed into the 2nd position who we have not been talking about yet. One of them is Pete Gilbert. Yeah.
See on replay right here, Billy Thomas. And that's called all fall down. Big 10 load, 83 in the 5th. Billy Thomas has put his foot down right now and not going anywhere.
Steve Dreyer over there on your right. I think that's a 7 ball off the head pin. He's fighting for his tournament life, I guess you could say.
All right. John D'Antonis jumping up into your screen from the left with there's the ball right there. Back on the head pin, smooth, great result. 7 and 10 off the deck.
Yeah, I think his ball really is working in the pocket a little bit differently than everybody's. There's some rotation. You see it, he kind of comes around the ball in the bottom. He swings through it, strokes through it, but the ball has a little bit of rotation.
The 7 was gone. The 10 took a little bit, but there was no doubt that was a much better ball.
Yeah, there's something working very well about his ball at this house right now.
I'm not sure if I'm accurate in this statement, but this could be Billy Thomas's. This is a chance for a Billy Thomas double. Don't know if we've seen a Billy Thomas double today.
You're not hearing anything? No. Switch the headset.
So Billy Thomas drops 9 on his load. Tantalizing the 7-pin with a couple of spinners, but could not convert the double. But sure, he'll be more than happy to take a 10 load and move on. He's got an all-mark game in front of him right now. It's plus 41. Make that 42. And a hit going into the 8th frame. So 43 plus for Billy Thomas.
I think this is exactly what Billy wants to be doing right now, is just consistently hitting the head pin and then converting his opportunities.
Well, when you're looking in the, well, he's probably not looking in the rearview mirror, but when everybody is behind you and you do what he's doing, it's a real good feeling. You see John D'Antonis step into your screen. Always a threat to throw a double, especially the way today has been going. When he's thrown 1, he's thrown 2.
And that bowler in the B division who has taken over the 2nd position is John Wright from Maryland. John had 834 for his first 6 games block.
Must have had a big 9th game because he was off the board and he popped right up in there. Here's Johnny D with a. That was a heck of a ball.
Yeah.
Coming off 7-10, 7-10 strike. That would have been nice to throw a double there, but 9-1. They will take 9-1 all day.
Yeah, and you can really see he's landing. He's taking that slide, and he's
total difference in the finish in his approach.
Yeah.
John D'Antonis slides by the 5-pin. Not exactly vintage John D.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think he's completely there yet. I think he's very close, and I think he's really got to stay focused to make sure he hits things instead of just kind of being in the flow state.
Right.
He's still working. But he's 28 over the frame. He's in position.
Yeah, he's not. He's absolutely where he needs to be for the time being. But as you've been noting, it's a tenuous position he's in.
Yeah. On the other hand, it looks to me like Billy is in the flow state. You know, he's
zoned in.
Yeah. He's not thinking much. He's just consistently hitting his object pin.
Stacy Kelly.
Yeah, this is Stacy's 10th frame.
He had a rough game, I think.
Actually, he's doing okay. I mean, measuring him against the open division high scores and high averages, it's not a phenomenal game, but he's in the high 130s. He's in the high 130s without another ball. We got a score update on Matt Anastasi. He's got 112 in the 8th. I don't believe that's on a mark. 32 over the frame, 2 frames to go.
Billy Thomas get to the line and throw the ball and watch them all fall. Just consistently dropping 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, he's just
Great.
he's not thinking or feeling.
No.
He's just bowling.
He picks up the ball.
Yeah.
If you're not paying attention, he's already out of his hand before you even know what happened. He doesn't take any time at all on the lane. And that's not a bad thing. Here he is attempting to convert the 5-pin, and well. All right.
I believe Stacey Kelly finished that game with a 138.
All right. So it will not drop his overall average significantly, less than a pin. Here you see Dan Richmond directly in front of us and the camera. Not going to throw a much better ball than that. And good result, 9 drop.
Yeah, that was
Sure
Dan
he
on a
wanted more?
strike. Yeah, he probably wanted the double. I mean, kind of tell when he's, he's putting a little extra on it. That ball goes out a couple feet beyond the line. He's normally kind of putting it down.
He usually lays it down earlier.
Smooth push. It looks a little faster in his approach. It doesn't seem to be hurting him, but I think he knows it's go time.
Is John Wright the dude with the beard over to our left? The beard and the glasses and to our left on 10 and 11 and 12?
Yes, Ron! I missed that 7-pin I made the previous one.
All right, sorry.
So the fat one. Yeah. Go up the gutter this time.
If John Wright is that guy bowling with Walt Brooks and Mike Lieber.
It was John Blaze lending a helping hand there to Will. John's the owner currently of the 6th position on the Open Division leaderboard.
John D'Antonis. He's happy the 10's not there with it, I'm sure.
Yeah, that 3 times is not the charm with the 7-10.
No, that's not something you want to leave 3 times in the same game. And it was another ball where he's...
I really liked the extension he had on that and at
that
the
one
bottom of
was
his delivery. Yeah,
a nice delivery. See him get through this 7-pin smoothly. And
wow!
Both of our contenders missing singles in the 7th frame. So, I guess it's better off missing them when you're in the contention than when you're not. But both of them probably would like at least one box back. That's 2 singles in a row for D'Antonis. Very, very unusual.
Dan Richmond, he's got rotation on the ball that's, going to drive the ball to the right. If you're a little flush in the pocket and crossing over it, you risk leaving the pins in front of the 5-pin, and that's
Right.
exactly what happened there.
Right. Here's Billy Thomas kind of bounced back from that single. His reward is he gets to shoot another one. So he has had a lot of 9 drops this game, and he's made all but one. I'd be willing to put some substantial monetary value on the odds of Billy making this single.
There it is. I wonder when I see him shooting left and right sides of the lane if he's actually got a preference.
It doesn't seem like it.
It doesn't look like it today.
Right. It's not, I thought it froze, but it didn't. It's just still.
Steve Dreyer here. That was filling a mark. Steve's really been struggling to put it together here the last couple of games. I think he had a couple of marks, striking a spare in the eighth and ninth.
You're going to see something in a second here that is going to be perhaps the turning point of a tournament for someone. We are going to look at what one John D'Antonis would call one of the ugliest balls he's thrown today, turning into a beautiful thing right there. That's what happens when you miss a single, right, Eric?
That's right.
But all kidding aside, huge spot for a strike for John.
Yeah, for sure. He's back-to-back missed singles. You know, this is sometimes it helps to get a little bit of a lift.
You get a break. I mean, let's face it. He throws the ball well enough. He deserves a break once in a while. Considering the 7-10 back-to-back, you got to get one box where the lanes give a little bit something back to you. Seeing Ronnie Pelletier slide the 7-pin off the alley. Now, Billy Thomas is going to step back up in just a couple of seconds here, and he is 7 marks through 8 boxes. He's 52 pins ahead of his box. He has a hit on top of that. And he is currently in the lead. So his lead is essentially safe through 10 games. Unless John D'Antonis decides to go silly and throw a 5-bagger on the way out.
Yeah, it wasn't far from doing it earlier. That's
true. It happened last game. Watching a couple of our other bowlers finish up their boxes. We are focused in right now on lanes 13 and 14. They are featuring Billy Thomas, who's currently our average leader, and John D'Antonis, who is currently residing in 3rd place overall, average-wise. We cannot bring you coverage of Kyle Shaw right now because he has completed his tournament, and he did a nice job of that as well. 923, 919, sort of consistent. 1842, which is, if you were to name Kyle Shaw, if you were to give him just one characteristic, Eric, would it be consistent?
Yeah, consistent. I got a long story to explain how consistent he is, but I'll just keep it short and say yes, absolutely consistent.
Billy Thomas in the 9th with another 8-drop.
Another pocket hit.
Man, he is just, outside of that missed single, dead on first ball this game. Billy Thomas's first ball this game has been absolutely masterful.
And he's left himself something right in the middle of the lane. He's shown he's been hitting that pretty consistently.
He didn't even think about that one.
Yeah.
So he has 9 boxes, 8 marks, and every single one of them with a substantial load. He's plus 58 and a ball working, and he is on pace to throw a game in the 160s, maybe get to 170. He'll take it.
Yeah, we're going to start to focus in on the bowlers remaining in the shift who are competing actively for the Open Division Open Division win.
See, 4-time champion right now, Ron Pelletier. Classic left to right sweeping ball off the head pin, leaves the 1-3-6. Best way for him to make this shot is to drive it between the 1 and the 3. The velocity he puts on the ball, though, he has the ability to hit this a couple different ways. Just not that way. Ronnie's struggling. At best, you can say he's struggling today. Although he is on our leaderboard as per usual.
Yeah, I mean, what
It's,
can you say about this guy?
I know. I say struggling.
The run he had a couple of years back,
Johnny D.
It's got to be the best stretch
Oh,
of performances,
good Lord.
consecutive
4 out of
performances.
6 or something
Well,
ridiculous.
so I think he won 3 out of 4, and he finished second in the one that he didn't win.
Yeah, you go. It's nuts. He went 1, 2, 3 out of 4.
That's just remarkable. That
It is amazing.
John D'Antonis.
There he is. So bounces back. He loads a strike with a 10. Marks in the 9th. Losing ground on our leader, but
Still relevant.
he's in
Staying in the picture.
the ball game,
Yep.
which is all that matters right now. He's in the ball game with 2 to go.
And he
Here-
looked really good shooting that pin. I mean,
Absolutely.
he missed a couple of them. He reestablished some confidence shooting them.
Speaking of our leader, don't breathe because he's coming. All right, he's gonna. It's the first ball of this game. He got away with it. He was
Yeah,
off the side. It could have been a lot worse. Could have been a 2 or 6 load. but
Maybe
he
a
ended
little
up with
too
7 load.
free here.
And it just didn't get to the head pin.
Yeah.
But Billy's best
says,
opportunity
"Thank
here
you."
is drive it right down the center. He's off the side a little.
Yeah, tough to get it from that side. You got to be a little light.
But he's in the 60s. That's no harm, no foul. 8 marks in 1 game. You kidding me? Take it and run. So 166, but Gian D'Antonis now with a double can get to the 60s and kind of eliminate that game from Thomas, and they might both creep up a little bit. I know Billy has increased his lead over Kyle. D'Antonis has a chance to move up on Kyle. We have
Billy
a three-way
Thomas,
battle here.
620 for 4 games. 620. I mean,
That's okay.
Yeah, that's all right.
155 average. It'll get you there.
937 for the first 6, and 155. Cruising.
So theoretically, D'Antonis could go 177 here. Makes it for a really interesting last 2 games. Either way.
It's a great angle of him. Oh, and
Well,
he's been.
no, that was his.
My criticism up until this point has just been that he's been light in the pocket.
Yeah,
That's the
he-
first ball we really seen that was off the mark
Yeah,
in
he
a while.
overthrew it.
Yeah. I love calling it for these guys who are just like fantastic bowlers.
Yeah,
and
no.
it's like
Oops. Yeah.
I'm splitting hairs every time I point something
Right.
out, but in this game,
Who
it
are we
matters.
to who are we to criticize
Right.
anybody?
But in this game, the little
No,
bit of
no. I mean,
being off, it
they're-
matters.
Eric, if they were sitting here calling their own ball, their own shots, they'd be probably more critical of themselves than we are. I'm in awe of some of these guys at how they can do it over and over and over.
Yeah, so rough finish there for John. So 140. He had a 150 average up until that
Right.
point on the nose.
But he had a 140. However, he missed 2 singles, and he'll talk to that part of that 140 game more than anything.
Sure. Yep. So there's the leaderboard updated
Well,
through
One of
10
my,
games, except for Ron Pelletier.
yeah. And look at Scott Wogomuth, top 10. Your brother, Sean, number 8. bowlers that have finished are now occupying 5 of the top 8 spots. It just goes to show you that a score, it's kind of like golf, right, Eric? Sometimes somebody puts up a score, gets in the clubhouse, and everybody else out on the course knows what they're shooting for. It changes the dynamics just a bit.
Yeah, I mean it's a very different way to play than just to be out there, playing yourself, right?
Right. And even though every sports psychologist will tell you you still need to play yourself, play your game, shoot your score, human nature will make you think about what you're actually trying to do.
So the bowlers are going to slide over. We're going to get ourselves regrouped a little bit. We got a quick flashback that involves John D'Antonis. We're going back just a few years here. Check it out.
We could flash back 1 year to 2018 for highlights of John D'Antonis' Eastern Classic win. Instead, we'll give you this one. There he is, right in the center of the screen. We could flash back 1 year to 2018 for highlights of John D'Antonis'
A couple of
Eastern
bowlers
Classic
up there. There's
win.
John in the middle.
Instead, we'll give you this one.
Throwing the
There
axe.
he is, right in the center of the screen.
That was just yesterday. I'm sure he'd tell you. I believe the bowlers there were Eric Pellet and Chuck King back when they were young men, before they joined as adult bowlers, and they were fantastic youth bowlers. Like pretty much everybody here. I mean, the 4 bowlers you're looking at came up through the youth programs and honed their skills there. So the stakes are high. The table is set. We got 2 games left. We're monitoring the scores of 4 bowlers. 4, potentially 5. There's on the open division leaderboard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 bowlers who have not registered their full 12 games, which means that they are bowling on this shift. There's 7 bowlers on the leaderboard who are bowling right now.
All right, we're on the final pair, Eric.
Yeah, I'm trying to get myself a little bit situated here to figure out where I've got to look to keep some scores. But you're right, it's go time here, Pat.
All right, so Billy Thomas starts off his 11th game with a rip off the side. So get that out of the way early. It's not a load. Coming off an 8-mark game, almost expect something.
Can we get Paul Groves' 12th game in? It shows 11 games. And
All right.
Brian,
So
do you want to keep score for anybody else here?
Billy's second ball off the side a little bit. He does manage to tip 9, so he moves along.
Should we follow Brooks?
If he can squeeze a 9 or well, he's going to 9 box. So if he can get a 10 box out of this and just move on. So 9 box to start for Billy.
All right. Next one.
Once again, referring back to that in the clubhouse theme, we have 2 of our top 3 bowlers now are bowlers that are in. One of them being Bernie Hipkins from last weekend, who barely, almost just touching that 150 average, came within 4 pins. But he is now residing in 3rd place, and if, God forbid, if not trying to jinx anybody, but if Billy Thomas has a little hiccup anywhere along the next 2 games, things could get really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. On the left side of the screen there, you've got Walt Brooks. We have not really talked much about him. We have not been talking about his bowling, but he's just been, I guess, Walt Brooks, right? He's on the leaderboard. He's got 1451 through 10 games. I mean, he's only 39 pins behind John D'Antonis.
There you go. Well, that's the thing about all these great bowlers. Scott Wolgamuth was 857 through 6 games, and he had a nice set today. He almost went 900 today. He's in 10th place, and he could move up. Another name, John Biederman. And depending on what John Biederman does in his 10th game, we might be talking about him as well. If he has a big 10th game, things could get interesting as far as that goes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, and so this is again the 11th game here. I mean, we're still figuring out just who's going to be in the picture for the last one, and after this game, if any of these bowlers on the leaderboard who are still bowling put up a very impressive 11th game, we will add them to the list and keep live scores for them. This is who we're going to track for now, and we will report verbally on how some of the other bowlers who aren't who we aren't keeping score for. We'll just keep you updated throughout the game.
Once again, going to comment on the pacing over the last 2 weekends. It's been phenomenal. The shifts have been starting pretty much on time. The lanes have been running fantastically. The bowlers have been on the lane, ready to bowl. It's good to see.
On the left side of your screen there, that's Becky Earhart, one of the 10 women who entered this year. First time women have participated in the Eastern.
Great addition, I believe. I think it's something that was a long time coming, and I'm totally in favor of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I believe one of the Southern bowlers from last weekend has a pretty good shot at the handicap division.
Yeah. There's a lot of women for sure who could come up here and have a really good shot at winning this tournament.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, Becky Earhart's one of them.
Yep.
We didn't get
Allison Malacone had a great start yesterday. Someone that dealing with some family issues and family commitments. Amy Bisson-Sykes could come in here and compete with anybody on the floor here.
Any day of the week, yeah.
I believe her boys play a lot of hockey, so hockey moms are
she
very
keeps
busy.
Yeah. Billy Thomas leaves the 5-10, and
so here we go. He's off the side for 2 in his first box and splits up the second box. So now, first time today that Billy started off a game without a mark in the first 2 boxes, I believe. John D'Antonis coming off this first box. 9, I don't believe he hit anything else after he made the 9 drop.
I'm getting a nice zoom in here.
See, 4-time champion Ron Pelletier destroying the pins with that ball. Just absolutely destroyed the pins on that ball.
John started his game with a spare, 9-1.
So he did convert, and he's averaging 149. So let's do some math. He's 60 pins behind. He's got some work to do.
He does, for sure. 2 games is a comfortable amount of time to feel like it's accomplishable. It's not like he's got to shoot a... Wow, I pause while those pins mix. I mean, what a...
Yep.
There's, light on the head pin, but like I said, his ball is just working.
Right.
And he hasn't been perfect on his second ball, but he hasn't been, he's made a fair amount of his opportunities.
Well, just to put it in perspective, if we just discount Billy Thomas, who's ahead of Kyle Shaw, John D's got to go 352 for 2 to get to Kyle Shaw.
Yeah.
Big challenge.
Yeah, for sure. And I know he's up to the task for sure.
No, that's not what I'm not even hinting at that. It's just he's got a way to go. Billy Thomas bounces back with that ball.
Yeah. Points up to the bowling gods and says, "Thank you very much."
Yes, indeed.
You got a replay of this.
Now, in contrast, Billy Thomas needs 286 to eclipse Kyle.
Yeah.
Well within reason.
For sure. And he's, I mean, it's not a gimme.
No,
by any
no.
means, right?
But
He's
totally different mindset.
Yeah. He's just trying to stay calm, relaxed, and
Let's face it, Billy Thomas has a higher average than that.
yeah.
So
absolutely.
he has to hit,
Absolutely.
just hit his average. He's good.
Wow.
John D'Antonis has got to go 70.
You just Pat was looking at
That's
me
one
when
way
that
to do it.
happened, but John D'Antonis just threw a rocket. I mean,
So here we go. We're talking about John D'Antonis. Needs to go big. What's he do? 9-9 strike.
yeah,
Boom, boom, boom.
he delivers. I mean, I would describe this as a gritty, grinding day for him, and yet, he's going to end up. He's probably going to end up with at least high 800s.
Well, I saw Johnny off camera between this game. He was walking over just trying to get some air, and he goes, "I'm throwing a terrible ball." And I said, "You know what? That might be true, but you're still in it."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a guy like that.
Can you
It's-
imagine
he's
saying
only-
you're throwing a
he's only-
terrible ball?
He's only out of it when he needs to when he needs to throw a 290
Right.
the last game.
Right. It's just kind of strange to me to hear someone say they're throwing a terrible ball when I know that they've bowled 10 games, and 8 of those 10 games have been crazy good. A couple of them were, but we have both sat here and saw the same thing that he knows. He's just not quite right.
Yeah.
But he's
Searching, he's working.
he's figuring it out. See on the B side here, we're not on camera, but Stacey Kelly's having a little bit of a struggle in his 11th game, so we will be keeping a close eye on that B division average battle, because Stacey has about a 30-pin lead, I would say, roughly going into the 11th game, and
30 pins can evaporate
It's
quickly. I mean,
quick.
one rough game.
a double here, a double there, and it's all gone. So keep an eye on that. I'm looking pretty smooth in the C division, though.
Another, you mentioned Stacey Kelly, his good friend Pete Gilbert.
Yes.
Got himself onto the
He does.
C division leaderboard here, and I'm looking over there, and he's got 129 in the 7th working.
Well, there you go. So my lead might not be as comfortable as I thought.
Yeah, we just heard Gilbert, and Pete Gilbert has an all-mark game. He's got 129 plus in the 7th.
Had the
That'd be
pleasure of
interesting,
bowling
huh?
with both Pete and Stacey as a triples team. We had a blast.
That's
Good-
got to be a
good
fun,
times. Oh, it's
fun
a good
event.
time. Good times.
So imagine that, though. Stacey hangs on to the B division, and then Pete maybe gets the C division title.
That would be pretty cool.
Billy Thomas working on a strike gets
Almost, but he's not going to complain. I
a
guarantee.
good break. Yeah. Here's the replay. Watch these pins mix around.
It was pretty ugly for a second there. You would think that ball hitting where it did would be a better initial drop, but he'll take the end result.
Especially when
all over that single.
yeah, especially when you get to put a mark on it, right?
Yeah, it was. I love the way he just. The moment he picks up the ball, he's like in motion. It's like so cool. I'm up there. I got all kinds of gyrations going, and I don't ever know when I'm going to let go of it. But he just picks it up and goes.
Yeah. Check the dew point.
Yeah, I gotta check the wind. You
Yeah.
know. Light bulb flickered on lane 11.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I think it's just where a lot of us are. You know, the game. That's where the game kind of went, and a lot of us just have a more prolonged ritual than was around for many years in this game.
Not saying that's a good thing either.
Not necessarily. I mean, you just can't couple that with missing. You know,
Right.
being absent when it's your turn and
Right,
things. So
that's the problem.
yeah. So
That's one thing I am known for. When it's my turn, I'm on the lane and ready to go. And
with bells on.
we did a good job in the first shift today. That shift, we had one foursome and all threesomes, and the pace was perfect. There were no gaps between games. It was really well done. And again, that's a testament to both the bowlers and the lane conditions.
Oh, John D'Antonis.
Hello, Johnny D. My little pep talk between games may have helped him out a little bit.
Yeah, I mean either that or he's hearing everything you're saying back here because he's locked in right now. His ball is working here and he's putting it where it needs to be.
So now it's, again, Billy Thomas, as we spoke, he has a 67 pin advantage. 67 pins, 2 games to go. The only way D'Antonis can possibly make that up is to do what he's doing.
Oh.
Or hope that Billy doesn't do that. So now Thomas is back to back balls. So
yeah, we're
here we
having
go.
fun now, huh? Look at these guys. They're
Here we
feeding
go.
off each other. And Billy's having a good game so far. I mean, opened up a little shaky, but I mean, 3 consecutive marks here, and he's
that was a
still losing a lot of ground to John.
beautiful replay hit on the close-up action of that shot from Billy Thomas. So
very big ball here for John D'Antonis.
can he throw another triple, Eric? Come on, give me a call, one way or the other. I'm going to go 9 or better on this ball. All right, so Johnny loads the double with the 6, and now trying to tie this up. Huge shot right there from D'Antonis.
Yeah, tricky little thing to cover, and that's his 5th consecutive
Dead on.
mark.
So John answers the bell. Billy Thomas on deck.
Yeah, here's a nice replay of the zoom in on the.
Yep. Ball gets to both the 3 and the 9 pin.
Yeah, you just got to keep
Big.
it heavy on the
Big.
on that lead pin to keep it from going around the 9 pin.
Just saw Ron Pelletier there drop 9 again. Pelletier had a rough 10th game, dropped him out of the top 16. We do have, as we speak, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. We only have 7 bowlers on this shift. So half of this shift is on the leaderboard. The other half of the top 16 is already finished.
Yeah, we had a little issue on that score sheet, so John's score has been moved down to the bottom position there. His score was showing correct, but the individual balls were sort of out of line. Now it's all lined up. He's got 95 in the fifth. He's working on a mark. Trying to move cameras around a little bit and get some of the best camera angles we can now that we're down to paying attention to
Pretty much, we only
a few bowlers.
In honesty, the bowlers that have finished, Kyle Shaw and Bernie Hipkins, are locked, as we know.
Huge ball.
Billy and John are battling it out for the potential victory here. John's got a big mountain to climb, but he's started the right way with this game.
Yeah, he's all geared up.
Billy Thomas is answering the call, though, because, again, between Billy and John, Billy has a 67-pin advantage, and he's not going to miss many singles, I'll guess, going out right now.
And he is
That is his fourth consecutive.
unflappable here. I mean,
Right. He had 8 marks in the last game.
right, and
Struggled the first 2 boxes, and guess what? Boom.
yeah, I mean he knows he's got to beat Kyle's number. He knows he's got to get over 1842, but
Right.
now he's got the pressure of John D'Antonis.
Well, as we said, Billy needs a 286. He's well on his way to that and more. Just throwing the ball he's throwing right now. Is it Johnny D who's going to come get him, though? Is Johnny going to throw those doubles and triples that he's been throwing? Billy hasn't had the luxury of catching, although the last 4 balls Billy's thrown all could have been strikes.
Yeah, I think these guys kind of benefited from their lane draw, too. Ron is a great bowler. Whether he's bowling well or not, he's very supportive of the people he's around. And, he struggled a little bit, but I know that he's been a positive addition to that group.
Yeah. Here's John D'Antonis loading another spare. That's off the side for 4.
Yeah, he did not get his hips squared up in time.
He's quick.
I don't know if he was fast.
He's
It might have
quick.
been that. It's hard not to be really excited right now. Got off to such a good start on this
All right, so-
game.
Yep. Well, in terms of his pursuit of Billy Thomas,
Wow, what a cover that was. He's not letting anything go right now.
there's a little stumble in terms of his pursuit of Billy Thomas, but overall, he's plus 49 in this game with 4 boxes to go. So certainly not in a bad position. However, that's Billy Thomas is not stepping back.
Not one bit. Oh,
But he is stepping up on the lane, and there you go. There's the 2 chop. So
All right, so the ball gets away from them both. That one could hurt Billy a little more, only getting 2, and I guess we'll see what he makes of it.
he didn't take any chances with that one.
Billy gets 10, an important 10. He's 30 over the frame. Yeah, get a little replay here. Billy's ball rotates left to right, so he's got a little extra drive, and then kind of kisses the head pin and hangs on for the 8. All right, and it's time
Here we go.
for both these guys to reset. One frame off and back to work.
14 to go, Eric.
Yep.
Billy's in control. D'Antonis is chasing.
Well, he's almost 50 over the box through 6 boxes. And he keeps that pace up. He passes Kyle.
That'll help.
That helps, yep.
So, D'Antonis and Thomas, interesting comparison. Thomas clearly has been the more consistent bowler. D'Antonis has been benefiting from some strikes.
He has, yeah.
And that's been, the difference.
Yeah. Not to
Nothing
really take anything away.
No.
He's on the head pin.
That was not meant to be a dig at anyone.
But it does really seem to me like John's ball is working really, really well at this place right now.
Right.
And I didn't see the first 6 games. I don't know whether it was a balance of strikes and spares.
I did not either.
But today's a day where strikes are his, salvation, especially after it's such a frustrating first couple of games.
Well, just as a reference point, Eric, they both bowled 6 games yesterday, and the lowest score between them was a 132. That tells you all you need to know.
Yeah. You can't miss much if that's your lowest score.
So here we are. We have John D'Antonis 19 pins ahead of Billy Thomas in this particular game, which brings him into he's down less than 50 now. He has a markup. He has 3 boxes to go. If he can get himself within 20 or 30 pins this game, gives him a realistic shot at going after Billy next game. If that happens, they'll both be going after Kyle.
I can't quite tell what's going through John's head right now, right? I mean, on the one hand, he's got to be, he's hunting for Kyle's score, but he's got another bowler who's right next to him, pushing him every single ball, every single frame, right, because he's got ground to make up on him, and he's not missing much either. I don't know who.
In my opinion, I think that helps.
Yeah.
I think it would be harder to go after the score that's in the clubhouse. I would be going after Billy.
Yeah.
And if you catch Billy, you probably catch Kyle.
Yeah, it's probably probably the right target to set your sights on. I'll tell you what it sounds like to me. Exhausting.
Both physically and mentally, right?
Yeah.
Because we're not, unfortunately, this sport, most of us are up there in numbers, age-wise.
Yeah.
12 games is quite a bit in 2 days for these guys.
I tell you what, I bowled the February alumni match. And that was 12 games qualifying, and then a couple more. We were lucky enough to get to Sunday, but I got to maybe game 7 or 8, and I was just slammed. I don't bowl a lot of games, and it doesn't take much to lose your conditioning for it.
I feel it mostly in the top of my shoulder.
Yeah, these guys are just plugging away. Game 11 here. They could probably bowl 20 more.
I'm pretty sure they would. They didn't have to drive home in a snowstorm.
That ball off the mark.
It's a
couple shaky.
Yeah, it's
first
2 boxes.
balls.
That's 2 boxes in a row where Thomas has been just a bit off the mark. We'll check out this replay where you see Billy go almost straight through the 2-pin, but picks up 4. Going back to the current action, he's now throwing his 3rd ball. He's looking to make this a 10 box. And it's going to open up the door a little bit for John D'Antonis. And if you start looking at Billy Thomas's 11th game, he's plus 29. Needs marks to get to Kyle. Here we go. Big ball here for John D'Antonis. Can he throw another double? He's had him all day when he needed him. If he throws one here, he is right in the mix. Like within 20 pins of the lead.
Yeah, John's pretty amazing. You know, over the last 10 years, he's been at the top of the sport every year. I mean, multiple time DPBA Bowler of the Year. How many? Oh, gets a lucky break there. He's a little disappointed for missing the head pin and
But
passing up
he
an
get away with
opportunity to-
another one.
Yep.
Here he is with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, possibly 7 marks through 8 boxes, one of them being a double, so he got a big break there. But as has been the case throughout the day, he just did not take advantage of that. He's missed a few of those.
Yeah, I mean, unusual for John for sure. There he goes, getting the 10, but
So if you look at him versus Billy alone, it's 28. This game, he has a 67-pin deficit. He's still down in the 30s.
yeah, I think you know it's going to take him a moment to get over that one. He certainly will, but
But what I wanted to get to, more importantly, Billy just threw a bomb.
yeah, a good time. I mean, he really needed
Needed it. What I was
After-
just getting to was if Billy and Johnny don't pick it up a little bit, that moment where Kyle jumps up on the top of the leaderboard was coming. But Billy
Yeah.
just put a little dent in those plans.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle's pressure is still there. I mean,
It sure is.
next game, you know what he threw? 153.5. Can you beat it? You
Yeah,
know, I mean,
absolutely. If you look at our B leaderboard, you see a new name at the top there. Stacy had a rough game, obviously, and Mr. Wright from Maryland is now in the lead by about. Well, he's only through 9 there, so that's different. No, there's something wrong with that. I'll stop talking about that because he's only through 9 games. So, but it's quite
we do-
possible that
right, we do
Nestor
have to get an update there.
Levake we need an update on the right score. Here's Johnny D trying to bounce back. So Johnny D'Antonis with a big 9 drop. See if he can bounce back from that last box.
We got a couple of score
All
updates in.
over
forgive
it,
me.
right in
Yep.
the face. So D'Antonis and Thomas answered the bell in the 9th. 11 to go.
Yeah, we got to report in on a couple of scores. John Biederman has 74 in the 5th frame of his 11th game. Matt Anastasi sounds like he's kind of lost it at this point. He's in the 80s in the 9th frame of his 11th game. That one's getting away from him. So the field is thinning of those who are going to have a realistic shot of winning this tournament. It's looking more and more like the people we're focused on right now are going to be the 2 that we have to stay focused on for this last game.
Oh, no doubt about it. If you look at, if Anastasi's dropped off, Blaze is already finished. Biederman is 100 pins behind. It's all about what we're looking at right in front of us, Billy and John, and whether or not they can whether Billy can hang on, or whether John can climb the mountain, because he set himself up for a tough haul after the first 2 games today.
There's a shout out to, I believe that's Chuck Paris. First time I've seen his name on the leaderboard. Wayne Matheson. I think he might have been on it earlier, but
Well, they're done.
Yep.
So there are more and more bowlers who have already completed their bowling that are showing up on the top 16.
And Stacey Kelly must have had a pretty difficult 11th game
He dropped
to
a lot,
drop
considerably.
in average by that much.
Yeah.
But I'm looking over at him, and his 12th game is well underway. He's got spare strike to open it up. Going to try to,
Bounce back.
yeah, get a little bit of that back.
You know, I'm going to be kicking myself for that for a long time. Going through 9, I was feeling pretty good.
Yeah. It's tough to see it go away.
It was hard. It was.
Yeah.
It was.
But,
But you know, it was
150
expected.
on that last game. That's a great way to end it. You
Yep.
know?
I was averaging 147 through 9,
Yeah.
and it just fell apart. you know?
Yeah.
And you know what? It was all my fault because I let it happen. You know, I didn't do anything to fix it. So,
Yeah.
like John started off what I did in the 4th and 5th games, and he
Yeah.
mentally fixed it.
Yeah, and you know he's been pretty much on. You know, a little. He's been close.
Yeah.
Not certainly.
Well,
I wouldn't think it's been up to his standards. You
No,
know, but
he would argue that he's not throwing a great ball. However, his results have been pretty darn good.
yeah, our standards are a little different too. By the
Yeah,
way, I mean,
I understand.
I think
I get
think
it.
I'd be calling it a great ball if it was me up there.
Yeah.
John being who he is and how successful and consistent he is, I think he has more in store for this last game. He has more in mind
Yep.
for it.
It's a huge spot here for Billy.
Yeah, both of
I
them
don't think
trying
we've seen
to.
a Billy. I don't think we've seen Billy throw a double yet. So I'm sure he would think this is a great spot for the first one. There he goes. And right through the middle for 6. You don't even have to see that. You can hear that one.
Yeah. The 6 actually has a pretty unique sound, doesn't it? You know.
It's like a clack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 big pins here filling a strike.
Oh, yeah. Again, he's put himself in position where he's going to need something in the last game.
You're right. I mean, he needed 140. Oh!
And then again, maybe he'll
Oh,
do
my.
something special.
Draws,
Billy Thomas right there.
Draws a big cheer from the
2,
crowd.
3,
That was
4,
pretty
6,
impressive.
just like you read about.
Nice fist pump there. That's an awesome cover.
That's a huge 10 load and one more.
That might be just the thing that he needed to
That's a huge kick
restore
right there.
his confidence. End this game on a real positive note.
All right.
There's the first.
So as far as
first couple,
that's a huge.
first
pump.
couple of bits of emotion I've really seen him
Yep.
show.
Well,
I mean,
here we
fist
are.
pumping, clapping. Yeah, he knows we're getting close.
Irregardless of John D'Antonis, Billy needs a 136 to eclipse Kyle. Then it becomes a matter of what does Johnny do?
Yeah, let's see. I mean, these guys could really both of these guys could really put on a show. It's fantastic to have them both on the same lane.
I'm pretty sure
The
if
crowd is starting to congregate a little bit around this pair
Yep.
that these guys are on, and it's getting louder and more exciting.
I'm pretty sure if you average 145 and you need a 136, you feel at least somewhat capable, confident, ready to go. Something bad's got to happen for
Yeah.
that not to happen, especially with throwing the ball. They're throwing the ball so well. Question is, can Johnny D'Antonis get to the 80s here? Can he throw another double?
That'd be remarkable.
He
I mean,
almost needs one right now.
oh, and he does.
Wow.
Looks familiar. I mean,
Ding.
see if John can do what Billy did. Wow, the other side. I'm kind of surprised he didn't get the back one, the 4-pin, because that was thin on the 3. He shot that really well. And what a game! I mean, not Not the 180 that I think he had hoped for or kind of needed. 160. 164, and here we go. The leaderboard updating. 1654. He needs a 180.
He's a big game to get Kyle, and he's 52 pins behind Billy Thomas. So something would have to fall off that. Something bad would have to happen.
So
for
180.
Billy.
I think 188 is the number to get Kyle for John.
And then he's gonna,
and we'll see what Billy makes him do. Some
see
replays.
if Billy pushes him to that 180 game.
Yeah. Pat, do you happen to remember what John D'Antonis threw last year on his 12th game?
It was a very big game.
You're right. Approximately. I think it was a 181.
Yeah.
So. Don't count the chickens.
I'm not sure if John was in the top 4 going into the last game last year, but he jumped into the picture halfway through that last game.
Well, I think he had fallen kind of to the middle of the leaderboard after those first 2 games, and he's just been clawing his way back in ever since. He's got a lot of fight in him.
And as we did update the B leaderboard, Jim Nestor, another one of those candlepin bowlers, is slightly ahead of Stacy Kelly. But Stacy, you said, was having a pretty big game starting off his 12th. So he is right there. He's only half a pin times. He's only 6 pins behind that pace. He goes 150. He's got it.
All right,
Here we go. Game 12. Ball 1. Bomb 9.
Huge ball, yeah. Get a second look at this. I don't think
everything went backwards.
Yeah, I mean this is just if you could throw the ball here 10 consecutive times, this is where you
Absolutely.
want to do it. Especially his ball, he's got it comes in a little bit from the left, and he's got that backup to drive into it.
Yeah, see, most people, if they throw the ball where he did on the lane, no chance. That ball's going right to it.
Yeah.
He knew it. Which goes back to your point. He throws the same ball on the left side as he does on the right side. It's kind of interesting.
Here's that replay.
This first ball is a monster. Dead on, just right behind it. Well, unfortunately, John D's got to start striking from the get-go. He doesn't have a lot of room for error. He needs.
Well, Billy got up there and put the pressure on. I mean,
to throw a game in the 180s, you got to need at least a double or 2.
So Pat, help me recall if we've seen this before. The two bowlers contending on the Sunday shift 5 on the same pair, making it pretty easy for us.
It makes this kind of almost like we planned it, but we didn't. It's Johnny D going through the middle again. They're
that's back to
ripping
back.
out 5. So, I mean, he's got a tall order. Unfortunately, his dilemma started in games 7 and 8, right out of the gate this afternoon. He put himself in a position where he didn't have any room for any more errors. And to Billy's credit, Billy has been extremely consistent throughout the day. His scores have been very, very methodically in the 50s and 60s. Hasn't wavered at all.
Yeah, just a few, his error rate, his miss rate is very low.
Right. And again, you look at the leaderboard. Matt Anastasy's back in 5th position, so he bounced back a little bit. John Biederman jumped up there. Your brother Sean is still in the top 10.
Oh man, and now
Now we see.
Now
Now we see Billy. This is like they're mimicking each other
Right.
here, and
They've got the rips.
not in a good way.
See this ball well thrown. Well, he shoots it. He gets he's
good,
heavy
yeah.
on that 3-pin. He gets 3 out of him. Gets him to an 8 fill. And a very important 8 fill. I mean, it's nice to start with a spare or mark or a couple of them and get a jump start on the game. It does hurt to get the to have to lose some of the fill.
All right, so he's plus 4. You can't even. I'm not even going to talk about his mindset right now. He's just thinking, keep throwing the same ball. Guaranteed.
Well, I tell you what, there's, you find yourself in this situation, and there are a lot of times where 8 frames feels like a lot of game.
Right.
Right now, 8 frames feels like 4
Right.
frames.
I don't have a lot of time. Right.
It is an imminent priority to start putting some marks and some fills up there, and
Right.
you got to
I'm
work
sorry.
really
I don't care
hard.
who you are. I don't care how consistent you bowl. At this point in the tournament, he knows what he needs, and that doesn't help.
Yeah.
You can't. It's something that human nature takes over. You start to press just a little bit, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, and it's little things, a little difference, and all of a sudden, instead of being in the pocket, you're ripping the head pin or light and leaving splits. It's very difficult part of a tournament.
It doesn't take much. John D'Antonis needs something to happen starting.
Oh, and
I tell you what, he would tell you if he happens to win this thing, he will be like, I stepped in a couple of lucky situations because that was not his greatest ball. He's got a chance to throw another double.
Yep. Cannot count him out yet. Because I tell you what, he's he gets the lucky break, but who comes back with a better second ball than John D'Antonis?
No.
I mean, you could see he could throw 4 in a row, and the next, the first one was lucky. It just sets him.
Right.
It just gets him started. That's all he needs sometimes.
Eric, this is duckpin bowling. If you're averaging in the upper 140s, you're good, but you're lucky. You have to be. You have to get lucky sometimes. Otherwise,
To
you're
make
not
up
gonna
for the unlucky.
Yeah, because there's a lot of bad breaks.
Get the replay on John's strike here one more time. Look at the low down angle here. Eye level.
There's a huge that pin that sweeper did a monstrous work. Took out the 6 and then it took out the 2-4.
Yeah, and I mean, you see right there, I think, a difference in the way this house is reacting to the way that it did just 1 year ago.
Yeah, that was
The pins are staying up on the plate, moving around side to side.
Kyle says they put a lot of work in, and the pins are finally broken in a little bit. These were newer pins a couple of years ago, so they weren't reacting the way they were reacting now. I mean, I had no complaints all weekend. The ball I threw, when I threw it right, it was good. No, occasionally got a bad break, but that's the game. I mean, it's duck pins. It happens. If every ball you threw in the pocket was a strike, it would be 10 pins, and that's not fun.
Yeah. Billy here, a big moment for him to try and rebound. I mean, like I said, it does not feel like there's 8 frames for Billy right now.
I'll tell him right now before he throws it. It's go time, Billy. Go get it. Well,
Little lucky there. I mean,
yeah.
he's on the inside of the 2-pin,
Yep.
which is pretty close to hitting the head pin, but that
he's
was
also
that
close
was
to
also
chopping
pretty
out
heavy.
too.
That was
Yeah.
really close to being
Yep.
2.
Which is where he's been the last 3 balls. It did not move over as much as it normally does out of his hand. But he can fix all that with one throw. Even if he get lucky, right? So now there's a situation where John got lucky to get a strike. Billy got lucky to make that spare, but I think in
Watch this off the wall here.
Billy's realm of where he is right now, tournament wise, it's more important to Billy.
Yeah, I think he, he hit the head pin, and
Oh, no.
it was a little heavy.
Right.
But you know what? He's been so on the mark. He hasn't needed a lot of luck up until this point. Now he needs a little bit of help,
Hey, good for him.
and he got it.
Good for him. He needed it, and it came.
All right, big moment here. John D'Antonis filling a strike.
He's
Third
had
frame,
a
game
few
12.
doubles today, Eric. He didn't get the same mix on that ball.
Yeah, he's in the pocket. A little light, a spare leave. But he's got to be thinking doubles and triples now, not spares. That's just where he is at the moment. That said, he can't give this up, and he doesn't. He just picks it off. Frustrating moment there.
So, keeping track of the B division battle, and Stacy Kelly right now is plus 47 through 8. He needs a 148 game to win the B division by 1 pin over Jim Nestor, 2 pins over, or 3 pins over Rob Levake. So Stacy Kelly's in need of a mark in the last 2 boxes.
Actually, he's got his 9th frame in, if I see that correctly. He's got 130, which means mark and 9, mark and 8, mark and 9.
Billy Thomas with a big fill on his spare, 9 drop. Take every pin he can get right now.
The size of relief. Oh man, he really thought that was going to be in the middle or split. This worked out well.
He walked away from that one though, didn't he?
Yeah, and he's counting them down. He's counting these marks and these fills, and he's saying, one step closer, one step closer.
Billy did something that no one else was able to do. He kept Kyle behind him.
That's true. I mean, that's pretty. This entire time, I think, since the first game,
Right.
in this block,
Right.
he put Kyle behind him and stayed ahead of him.
And I think mentally it's harder to catch somebody than it is to stay ahead of somebody, but that's just me.
Yeah. The only thing that's a little tenuous if you're Billy is, you're getting spares. And spares can be filled with 2 and 3 and
Right.
4.
But he hasn't done that often. His
No, you're right.
his
He's been in
loads
the
have been
pocket.
very, very, very consistent.
So I don't know if we've said the number yet here, right? But if you do the math,
It's 137.
it's 137
But that's Billy.
for Billy.
And then D'Antonis has got to go 40 pins higher than that.
And John is,
Yeah.
still fighting here every ball, and
Yeah.
this is
Well, he'll tell you.
another head pin, another rip through the middle.
He'll tell you right now. This tournament ended well. I don't put cart ahead of the horse, but first 2 games today put him in a very bad position.
That was a hole he had to climb
That's
out
hard.
of, and he climbed
He did.
out of it, but he just had to also climb a hill after he got out of the
Right.
hole.
He had a 219.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Right.
very, very hard to overcome. And he did a great. I mean, look at him. He's in 3rd place. Here's a defending champion putting up another 1,800 perhaps.
Yeah. And here's, by the way, Ron Pelletier, as we
Four-time
continue to,
winner.
Four-time winner, as we
Making
continue
his way
to
up
update
the
these
ladder.
scores. He just climbs because
Well, he never goes away. He's going to be in the top 10 again, and he'll tell you he bowled horribly.
right, and he's, I mean, just a fixture on our leaderboard. I
Yeah.
mean, we ought to just reserve a spot for him.
Right. I was just looking at yesterday. Ronnie threw at 833. So what is he doing today? Right?
Yeah, I mean,
Good Lord. He's going to go
quietly shooting
Yeah, almost 900.
almost 900. Yeah.
All right, so here we go. We have 6 boxes to go. Billy Thomas is now, again, it sounds like a broken record, but he has 3 marks out of 4 boxes. He's been doing it all day.
That was a great replay of the 10th frame in the last game.
All he's been doing is marking and loading all day long. I don't remember or recall more than 1 double for Billy. I'm not even sure if he had one.
Yeah, and yet he's been in the pocket all day. Nine head pin hits a game, you know. I'll tell you another thing. I mean, it's difficult to keep your composure while you've got somebody like John D'Antonis, you know,
Chasing
all
you
over you, chasing you down.
next door,
Especially
right
when
on
he's
the
starting
right
to
on the
carry-
lane behind you.
Especially
Like,
when he's starting to carry strikes. And you're
Right.
right, he's right next to you, right? You're witnessing every single one of these things firsthand.
another 9 for Billy. Ho hum.
That is great. And I mean, the relief I think he's starting to feel, you know, a few consecutive marks, and he's getting the
listen.
and he's getting the
he's
fills.
2 marks away. Let's put it that way. He's makes this. He's a mark or 2 away. He's got 5 boxes to go. He's in good shape. But the thing you were alluding to with Johnny D chasing you, and there he is all over. Walk away, Billy Thomas. That's a daunting feeling. The defending
course.
champ is following every ball you throw.
I don't want to be, you know, in John D'Antonis's crosshairs at any point. You know, that's not it's not where I want to find myself.
Man, that's a great replay. You saw Billy turn. The ball was not even 3/4 of the way down the lane. That's a nice feeling.
Yeah.
Stacey Kelly, anybody?
Wow. Stacy, we got an update on Stacy
So
Kelly's score there.
Stacy did it. He hit the mark in the last box of the tournament, and he was able to win the B division by 3 pins, just shy of 1,700. Nice job by Stacy Kelly.
Yeah, well done.
I
That's
believe
a
that's back to back.
multi-time winner.
At least twice. I don't know if it's back to back, but I know he's won the B division twice now.
Yeah. And John is, you know, really starting to run out of paper here. However unlikely it is, it's pretty much got to start with a strike here.
Strikes. You know, and can't say much. That was a 9 drop. So
Yeah.
in duck pins, that's a great drop. Yes, he needs a strike, but he's been getting the benefit of a few of those all day. So
Yeah. You know, if I recall correctly, you know, he's carried a lot of strikes today.
right.
He strung them together. I mean, that's been
Right.
how he's climbed back into
But-
this a little bit. Last year it wasn't like that. I mean, if
No.
I remember
No,
correctly,
he was very consistent.
Very few strikes.
Right.
And just
Even this year, I want to say he missed 4 or 5 singles.
yeah, right. And sounds like we're beating him up. for
Well,
it,
no, but
he's
guys like that don't miss singles.
yeah, right.
No, well, not that many.
Sure.
Everybody misses one here and there. He'll tell you right now that he gave away.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to point back at a
No.
3 or 4 missed singles for this one, right?
One thing I will say is I don't think anybody walking away from here is going to blame the lanes or the way the pins fell for anything. I think it was all on you for the most part. Everything I saw, everything I witnessed last weekend doing the commentating, the shifts I bowled, and today doing this, pretty fair.
All right, so Pat, we just had a pretty important thing happen.
Billy threw a 9-drop and another 3 load. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
he had a 3 load,
All right, so 25.
which is,
So he needs 2 more marks, 4 more boxes.
yeah, I mean, that's,
So, now, I said at one point in the day, Kyle Shaw's name would be on top.
yep. Sure.
I also picked him.
Yep.
Now, I'm not trying to say anything, but come on, Billy.
Sure. I mean, this,
Help me out, Billy. I would hate to be that person.
yeah, so, I mean, that was what could be a pretty crucial moment there, that fill, and that, unfortunately,
that
was a
hurt.
ball pretty
Yeah.
far outside.
It hurt. Yeah,
He's now forced himself to have 2 marks.
right. And for the most part, D'Antonis now is out of contention. Realistically, the most D'Antonis could do would be like a 160 or 70, and that would be with at least a double, if not a triple. He needs a 180. You said 184, I believe, or something. More than 180, and he's
188. It
he's
looks
put
like.
himself in position where he has to almost strike out.
Yeah, I mean, he can put 100.
Well, start right now.
150,
You can
160
start
on
right
the end
now.
of this.
Start right now. Yeah.
This is kind of how it goes. I mean, you're carrying the strikes earlier when, the ball's not necessarily tight in the pocket. Now he's tight in the pocket and not getting him to fall. Still something to play for here. I mean, the top few positions, the prizes are significant. It's going to be really hard to advance ahead of either Kyle or Billy at this point, but John has still got some work to do to hang on to the 3rd position.
All right. 4 to go. Didn't think I would be saying this, but Billy Thomas, a little bit of pressure. He doesn't, I don't know if he knows or not. Probably does. He needs plus 12.
Yeah.
He has 4 boxes. That's either 2 marks or 1 double.
That'd make it easy.
Yeah. Well,
Easier said than done, but
if he throws a double anywhere, it's over. But if he throws a double at the end, it's still good.
that's true. So if he does,
Even if he doesn't mark in the next 3 boxes,
It's still
in the
a-
10th box, he should be still in position to win it with a double.
yep.
Which is, we're not, that would be really cool if that happened.
Yeah. I make it at maximum drama for us. I mean,
Without having the bowler here who he's bowling against. That would be the best we could do.
yeah. Still have a good crowd of bowlers or spectators, I guess, at this point. A lot of them were bowlers in the tournament at one point or another last weekend, this weekend.
Some of the bowlers from this shift have already finished their bowling, so they're here, and
Yeah,
one of
they're
them
not
being
going to walk
Stacy.
out of here before
Nah,
this
they're
is
hanging
over.
out. Shout out to Bernie Hipkins, tournament leader from weekend 1, who's probably going to hang on to 4th place, which is pretty impressive.
All right, here we go. 4 frames left. Billy needs 2 marks. He's got to.
Just take a deep breath. Throw that smooth ball.
Forget all about that last frame.
Throws a strike right here, and this thing's over. All right.
Still
No
got
harm,
that.
no foul there. He's
Yep.
still in the same spot. He got away with it. But
He did. It's kind of like we saw a ball just like that earlier, and he got a good
Exact-
break out of it.
right. Huge ball right here for him. There's one. One down, one to go.
We got one.
So at this point in the tournament, if Billy Thomas throws one more mark, it's fairly certain that he is going to be the 89th annual, or in the 89th annual Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Duckpin Classic. We will be naming Billy Thomas as the champion, but it's not over yet.
Here's a replay of that one. A little bit of a close call here, but
He got a little,
Got
I
the
think,
job done.
out of his hand. It was tenuous, but it got there.
yep. Good thing he throws a backup ball. Got it to track an extra board or so. He- And let's see here, Pack. Mathematically, he's got room for 100 more pins. That's a 194.
That would be good enough.
That would be good enough, and certainly challenging Billy.
It would.
That would.
So can he throw 5 in a row? Here we go. Even more drama. That would be awesome.
oh,
If you're gonna get him, that's one way to get him.
Not-
that's one.
Still playing, still in it.
John D, defending champ, still not out.
And I said it earlier. Who comes back and throws the second strike better than anybody? Better
He
than John
does.
D'Antonis. That ball is going to be right where it belongs the next time.
So John D'Antonis now, if he strikes out, has a possible 1846. That's his best possible score, which puts him ahead of Kyle Shaw, but that does not mean he shuts out Billy Thomas by any stretch of the imagination. Billy right now with one more mark shuts out, for all intents and purposes, shuts out John D'Antonis. Huge 9 load.
Yeah, he's calling out for it. He wanted
Huge.
that to go.
That was
It
the
would've
first verbal reaction we've heard from Billy all day.
been- yeah,
Seen some physical motions. First time we've heard him verbally, unlike some bowlers I know.
and I'll tell you what. He did put a checkbox. He checked off. I
Oh,
need
no.
a good fill. I need a good fill,
That's,
and he got
that was the biggest part of that. So he's plus 25. If he makes this, and he did,
Oh, and again,
that pretty much shuts out John D'Antonis, and anything more than a 4 or 5 load.
check that replay out again. That backup ball.
It wasn't.
Just
We
working
talked
out.
about it all day. He throws the ball the same way, even though there's no lane there for it to roll on. He somehow figured out a way to curve it in there.
yeah. This is back
If I throw that ball, Eric, I tell you what, it's in the gutter.
Yeah.
There's no chance of that ball coming back from the channel on that. I said channel. It's not a gutter. It's a channel. My friend down in my southern friend there, who was our commentator down at Preakness. Can't think of his name. Joe Rainier
Oh.
told me it's not a gutter. It's a channel.
I'll tell you what. If Joe says it's a channel, it's a channel.
It's a channel.
I've had it wrong all these years.
Oh, he corrected me frequently.
John, for a double.
It isn't over, but it's
I tell you what, man, that fat
Billy.
lady is
Billy
not
now
singing.
has to load it. Billy has to load it, and John D'Antonis despite the fact that he may not be able to win this tournament, is still bowling for big money for second place.
Absolutely. Look at this replay. That
Be not too bad to come in first and then second in this tournament.
Yeah.
Back-to-back years.
and that ball really was in the.
That was
pocket
his
this
best
time.
ball of the day. That was one of the best balls he's thrown all day. And look at him respond from a 46 in the fourth. Good Lord. 9-9-9, and those were all fairly good balls, and then 2 bombs.
So the best that John can do is beat Kyle by 4 pins.
Correct. But if Billy Thomas loads 6 or more on this next ball, I believe he shuts out.
I mean,
I can't say that because
either
I'm not
9
going to say that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not going to say it. A decent load and a couple of 9 boxes, and Billy Thomas shuts out John D'Antonis. That's all I can say. He's plus 34.
Ron Pelletier shooting the 710. We saw Gary Santora make the 710 bowling just beside you earlier
Did he make it
in
today?
the tournament. Yeah, caught it on camera.
I wish I had made the 8-10. That would have made my 10th game a lot better. But all right, here we go. Getting ready for the finish here. Billy Thomas steps up momentarily to hopefully put an exclamation point on this. Be amazing if he hangs on to the number 1 spot through 5 consecutive games. That's very difficult to do. He did not have a hiccup. Once he went past Kyle, he has averaged more than 153, I believe, every game he's bowled.
Starting to get
Crazy.
the new camera angle there. We're going to watch Billy a little more closely here because this is potentially the tournament right here. 1 ball.
All he's got to do is keep this within 2 inches of the head pin, any which side, and he's good. And he's good. It's all good. That's all good,
That
boys
is
and
a-
girls. That's a 42. We're 42. He's plus 40.
I mean, let's just say if he
he just stays on the
covers
lane.
this, if he covers this,
Oh, it's over.
It's over.
Yeah. This will.
And
This
even
will
if he
shut
doesn't,
out.
even if he doesn't, it's going to take
Doesn't matter.
a very
Yeah.
a big stumble in the last frame to not. There it is.
Game time, boys and girls. Another big mark game for Billy Thomas. Look,
This game is wrapping up.
he won.
Very
He's going to
much the
win
way
this
his-
tournament. Look what he did. He did it without a strike, which is the way he bowled all day long.
Yeah.
He didn't have a double, I don't believe, but he had a ton of marks all day long.
And then just look at the way he responded to that 6th frame.
Yep.
He had a
3
really,
load. Yep.
There's
What
a
a
moment
bounce
that
back.
you could fold.
What a
pretty
bounce
easily.
back. Knowing you need a 137, and then knowing you're down to 4 boxes, huge response.
Yeah. So here, John D'Antonis on the left, wearing signature bright colors. First time we mentioned that today.
Well,
But,
bottom line is Billy needs 2 pins on
Yep.
a load. A two load will win it.
Yep. And John D'Antonis is now playing for 2nd place.
Correct. Which he still has a shot at with a double 7.
And he gets the 7 the first
That
ball. I
was a
think if
triple.
he had 2 more balls at a full rack, they'd be strikes.
That, but still, he's going to walk out of here going coulda, woulda, shoulda because he had an awful start to the afternoon, but heck of a response
And you could see he
finishing.
may
Another
have gotten there a
160
little
game.
fast, or so.
So here you go. Billy Thomas has got to keep the ball somewhere between the channels,
And D'Antonis goes 160.
all over. So D'Antonis will finish in 3rd place, I believe, because he did not fall behind. He kept his average above 150. Did not gain on Kyle, but did not lose ground on Hipkins. And you got a
There we
strike.
go.
A strike.
Well, he had to.
A strike for Billy Thomas. It's like he hasn't had but 2 all day.
I think he was just trying to prove you wrong, Pat.
He hasn't. Now, wouldn't it be just perfect for him to throw a double right now? He hasn't. I don't believe he's had a double today. I don't recall one.
Well, it's all gravy now.
It is. It doesn't matter. He's game over right there.
Now he's just trying to add to that score and prove everybody right that this was going to be a higher scoring year. Another 9 to add on top of that. Man, and he's
no. Don't give him a double.
Billy's not taking his foot off the gas here. He's going to be in the ones. He's already in the 160s. It's pretty remarkable. John D'Antonis, by the way, final scores in 18-14, 151.2 average for 12 games.
Billy Thomas, 1867.
And he finally misses one.
1867 for Billy Thomas. Our 2019. Give him an 1868. Excellent job by Billy Thomas finishing out the tournament. Incredibly accurate, incredibly consistent 6 games to finish this tournament.
Remarkable performance, really.
I mean, you look at his final 6 games, 145, 172, 137, 166, 149, 162. That is phenomenal bowling.
937, 931.
937, 931. Model of consistency, well-deserved victory.
1868. That's a 26-pin margin above Kyle. 4-time winner Ron Pelletier there to congratulate him as he steps off the lane. A lot of relief, a lot of high fives.
You beat him.
No, I didn't. I just looked at the score. No, he's got 17 something. Who does? Mister. I just saw his sheet up there. Mister's got like 17, 17 or 17. Yeah. I just looked. Only 16.99. Wow. Thanks for guys. Thanks for broadcasting us. Brian, thank you again. And you don't have the. We're done. Yeah, baby. Listen, I would love to bowl. I would meant to mention he's fucking crying because he lost beat. No. They were. Which is what happened to me today. I was done.
So a lot of congratulations being given to Billy Thomas. Well deserved. A lot of people, really happy to see him win this. Billy makes the trip up here, pretty consistently. We're going to get him to come by and have a word with him.
100 was the number almost.
So another exciting conclusion to the East. Like I said, it's a an honor, a privilege to be able to bring this to you guys. Here's Pat. Pat cutting through. We're waiting for a word with our champ here.
Yeah, I was just trying to explain to Stacy Kelly that he actually did win the B division. He insisted that he didn't.
Oh, really?
So I was checking our scores because I know what we have on the screen, and he thought that he thought Jim Nestor had a 17-12. In fact, it was another bowler ahead of Jim Nestor on the same score sheet that had a 17-12 who was not in the B division.
Okay.
So if he doesn't want to win the B division, someone else will take it. But as far as I know, he did.
Yeah, well, that was an exciting conclusion. Oh, here's the
Come on up.
champ. We got a word with you. So here's our
Billy Thomas for you here.
out of that one. Thank you. So, I mean, first of all, Billy, congratulations. That was
right in the middle there.
Thank you.
sorry.
That's all right.
I got to say, from back here, that was really, really tense. Those last 4 or 5 frames. I mean, you rose to the occasion. 4 or 5 consecutive marks on the way out. You win by 24. Your first Eastern Classic.
Yep.
What are you thinking?
I'm just happy that I was able to come through at the end because I was figuring that I would need a little bit more on the end there because I heard Kyle was approaching 1900 this morning when I came in, to check in and take my bowling balls in here. So I thought it was going to take a little more than what I had to win.
You know what that fake news is like, right?
Yeah, hashtag fake news. Yeah. So
Well,
I was thrilled to know that it wasn't required of me to throw the mark in the 10th.
So
yeah, we'll
we're gonna take a look at some of your efforts here. What my recollection of the afternoon was, I don't think you had a double. I'm not sure if you had.
I had one double. It was in like the third game or the second game.
Man,
I think it was in the second game. When
This right here.
how big is this
money.
moment? I mean,
That's
this
huge,
was.
because it gave me an extra. I stole 10 pins on that one. When I make that,
The big leg kick.
Yeah.
So what I know.
It's all emotion, of course.
But I noticed, like, throughout the afternoon, not a lot of verbal emotion
No.
until you made the single in the 9th box, and then I think at that point you knew.
No, I didn't really know because I'd heard somebody back. I was telling everyone behind me,
You did not know.
don't tell me what I need.
Awesome.
I said, don't tell me what I need. Don't tell me what I need. And somebody inadvertently said 173. I'm like, uh-oh.
Oh, they meant 137.
I guess they botched it. So I was thinking that, well, okay, maybe I need a double this last frame. So I was happy when I threw the strike to begin the 10th frame. But
You know what? The
then
marks
that's
you
the
threw,
cannonball right
you
there.
had an 8-mark game. You had a 7-mark game.
Mhm.
Your low game, I want to say, was a 145. Your high game was a 172 for this 6 blocks.
I think there was a 30-some in here sometime today. Maybe
There
the
was
fourth
a one.
game.
There was a
30,
130.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
35-72.
But everything else. I mean,
Amazing.
937, 931. That's fantastic. It's one of the higher scores we've seen.
Yeah.
We talked about it on air. Eric, yesterday, you and John, your low game between the 12 games that you and John bowled yesterday was a 132.
Yeah, I didn't think
That's amazing.
I didn't think I could still do this, honestly. I was a decent youth bowler, and I've had my semi-success as an adult bowler, but nothing like when I was a youth. And it's just nice to have this renaissance.
How big of an adjustment was you because for the difference in approaches? Because you talked to me about your knees and such,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
changed your approach entirely almost.
So this isn't something that's totally new to me. When we were kids, we would bowl in our street shoes just for fun, just to see who was good at that kind of thing. So walking up to the line is not something I'm not used to, but there is a change in the timing, no
Right.
doubt. I mean, if I was running up there like I used to, getting the arm through there
Right.
is a big deal. And so
It's pretty amazing. Now you grab the ball and you're gone.
Right. Right.
Fun to watch.
I still take my time and take my sliding foot and rub it against the lane a bunch of times just to make sure I'm not going to stick or anything. I didn't go to the bathroom and like step in some water or anything like that. But it's definitely nice to know that there's a solid base under me now, where I didn't know that was the case before then. You know.
It was fun to watch. Tell you that.
Thank you.
I got to ask one moment in that last game,
Sure.
right? You had the 3, Phil. What was going through your mind the next frame there? I mean,
I threw a good ball that frame. It was just, it hit a bad board. I must have let go of the ball wrong, and it just bounced on me. It bounced left on me. So I didn't worry about it too much. I threw a good ball. The second ball, almost made it, left the 5-pin. Probably missed it for 10. So, and then the next frame, I just got back in there.
It wouldn't have affected you as much as it affected us because you didn't know the number.
No.
We did.
No, I didn't.
And it was a big deal. So that's
No,
pretty
I did
cool.
not. No, I did not. And I think that helped me out not knowing the number.
I believe that's true.
And that's why I asked everyone behind the lanes, don't tell me the number. I don't want to know it. I didn't want to know it.
well,
I'm a mental midget that way.
I guess I'll restate it. I mean, just like it was fantastic all day, really on your mark the whole time, consistent. You didn't
For the most part.
You didn't carry a lot of strikes.
Nope.
You know, it was hard fought, well and definitely earned. So, I guess we're going to show one more.
There's one of your bombs, or one of your
That
few.
might have been the 10th frame this last game right there. That's the one that's the one where
there's
I
the
felt
emotion.
like that might have done it.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure, but that was the only game I hadn't struck until the 10th frame. Every other game I had a strike then.
Yeah. That was the ball, in fact, that you went by Kyle. So that was.
And
the
I know
moment.
Kyle's a damn hell of a bowler. So I feel really, really lucky to have bowled well enough to beat him. He's going to win one of these one day. He's probably going to win more than one of these. He might be on the flyer with the star or whatever signifies 2 or 3 or 4 winners.
Well, that being said, Billy, you did win one.
Yeah.
So,
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
2019
89th,
Classic.
89th annual.
89th. I mean, there you go. You're on the history. We'll get you one of these
You're going to be in a picture.
pictures.
You got one tall enough for my forehead?
We'll find one. All right. Well, congratulations, Billy.
Thank you. Appreciate
Looking
it, Eric.
forward to
Pat,
next
appreciate it
year,
very much.
giving it a try to defend it. And I guess that will wrap
Duckpin
it up here.
TV, you're going to close it out from the 89th annual Frank Barber Memorial Eastern Classic. We were proud to bring this to you. I hope you enjoy this. Please share. Please like us on Facebook. Bye, everybody.